Hey everyone, today I am super excited. We're going to be getting back into our API project, and I have Cahl with me who has done some amazing work on our API, like really pushed it forward. So I'm going to let Cahl do an intro to himself, and while he's doing that, I am going to share Cahl's GitHub. Actually, you know what? While I'm doing that as well, let me bring it up on the screen too, so you can see Cahl's avatar and GitHub. So Cahl, please give yourself an intro, and I'm going to share your GitHub link in the chat.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Okay, I'll try. Cahl's from Germany.
Exactly.
Loves TypeScript. Loves NestJS, which is an API, a RESTful framework around ExpressJS, and has done lots of amazing work on our API. But add more to that, please, as well, Cahl.
That's everything correct. Just facts. Yeah.
And one last fact: Cahl's name is not Cahl; it's Julian, but we will
Exactly.
call him Cahl. Okay, awesome. And so, Cahl, what are we going to be doing today? So I think, if I remember correctly, our plan is we're going to run through our API project, just talk a bit about the folders, kind of what tools we're using, show some
Exactly.
example tests, and then we're actually going to go in and make some improvements to our tests, add some missing tests, and hopefully get the community writing some Cucumber tests, because the Cucumber tests, everyone, don't be scared. It looks like, I want to try and find one now as well. It looks like, I see Cahl's already making changes. Okay, we've got live code share on this, but let me bring up a test just to show you that it looks like plain English. Let me pick up a small example. Like delete an event. So make a post to this endpoint. This is the data that we're going to make a post with. We just check that we get an ID back, and we don't mind what the ID is. And my light just almost fell. I don't know if you saw that. I don't think anyone saw that, but I just caught it. Okay. Hopefully it won't fall again. It might. So that could have been quite a blooper. And then we check, we set the headers, and then we do a delete, and we check that we get a 404, no, a 204 back. So that's kind of what it looks like. I need to move this because this is going to fall. Okay, I think we're good. So yes, that's what the plan is today, and we have VS Code live share, so we can follow Cahl as Cahl walks us through it. So you know what? I'm going to follow Cahl, and you can see Cahl's cursor. And Cahl, why don't you take us through the project? Does that sound like a good start?
Yeah, we could do that. I think we could decide if we go with the new authentication logic. I think we could definitely add some tests to the current PR, which is open. Then we would probably have to get this to a branch of the actual AnyHub project, because it's currently on my own fork. We could do this, or we could go through the current existing project with the, I'd say, old authentication logic.
Let's do the new one. I think you're right.
Okay.
Let's do the new one, and let's answer some questions in the chat. You've got some highs happening to you, which is great. Love the support by the community. But also, there is a question that I'm going to bring up on the screen. I think it's a really good question, so we don't jump straight too much into the coding. Let's have a look. Here we go. The question is by Ishan, hopefully I pronounced it right. What is automated testing and different? It's different normal testing in JavaScript. So automated testing could be done in any technology. So we're going to use JavaScript and TypeScript here, but you can do it in Ruby. Like I think we got Cedric in the chat as CNAC does a lot of testing in Ruby and Java. So Cucumber that we'll be using, that's written in Gherkin syntax, which looks like plain English, again, can be done in any language. And Cahl, do you want to add any more to that about automated testing?
Automated testing is pretty nice if you're doing continuous deployments. Then you could build a step into your pipeline where you automatically test your, where you could define tests where you say you expect something to be if some methods run, for example. This would be unit testing. Or as you showed with the Gherkin file, end-to-end testing, where you really try to simulate how an actual user would use your application and then expect the output. And depending on your output, your test passes or fails.
And it just adds so much value. I mean, we'll break some misconceptions that it makes you go slower. It actually makes you go faster. Just want to say hi to Kyle. So great to have you here from LinkedIn. I think we've got one person from LinkedIn. Woo, I'm trying to stream a bit to LinkedIn as well as YouTube. So yeah, I think it makes us go faster. So yes, there is that setup time to sort of get set up. But once you're set up, I really believe that you kind of like take one step back to take like 5 steps forward, because you can refactor things so much faster. I mean, this is what Cahl has done quite a big refactor on the authentication. And then Cahl doesn't have to go through every endpoint and test it manually for all the happy paths, the boundary conditions, all that. Cahl can just run the automated tests, and they will let us know if something in another module has broken because of it.
Exactly.
So keep the questions coming, and we will definitely answer them. So as Cahl mentioned, his latest changes are in a pull request and a fork. So let's bring up the repo, and I'm going to share the repo, and we're going to get you all following along in a moment. So this is the repo at the moment. So here we go. So EddieHub API repo, if you want to follow along. And let me make that a bit bigger for all of you. And if we go into pull request, we'll see this awesome pull request, which is number
142.
142. Okay, cool. And PRs should be kept small, but in this example, it is very difficult to do so because it is a refactor of the authentication, so it touches a lot of places.
Over 1,000 lines.
Yeah, the smaller the better normally, but in this situation, it wasn't possible. So amazing work by Cahl, definitely. And you can see it's in Cahl's fork. So what we're going to do is I want to change it to not go into the main. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new branch in our repo. I'm going to give it the same name as Cahl's branch, so issue 137. I want to make it from the main branch, so there's no conflicts, so issue 137. But it will be created from the main branch, so it's going to be no different. So from the point of view of the pull request, it's going to be exactly the same. And I want to hit edit. I'm going to change it going into main because it's not quite ready to go into main yet. And I want to go into 137. And it'll give you a warning saying there might be some issues, but in this case, we know it's okay. And we're going to get it into our repo so I can make changes. Well, I'm doing live code share. That's why. So here we go. We've got this. I'm going to have lots of conversations about this. I think there's some more conversations that I might need to catch up on. But it's great. Cahl always leaves notes, which is brilliant. Oh, sorry, Cahl.
Yeah, it's more or less notes where I try to mark some important lines where something special happens.
I think it's great. I think it's really, really good. It really helps when reviewing. Yes, EddieHub has its API, and we want to start using it more. So we want to connect. So next week, I want to start connecting the EddieBot more to it, and also I want to start connecting the GitHub actions to it. So therefore, in a couple of weeks, we can start having the real-time map reading from the data. So I want to start collecting the data, and also when we have the big live stream in a few weeks, the 20K celebration. Don't want to give too much away at the moment. I want to use some of the stats from our GitHub organization. So I want to start collecting that over the next few weeks, and there'll be some fun competitions and giveaways happening. So right, let me go right to the bottom. I'm going to say ready for review so I can merge it. And Cahl, are you happy for me to squash the commits when I merge it as well?
I think yes.
Okay, awesome.
Don't see any issue with that.
Okay. So to let everyone know, the reason why I want to squash the commits because it keeps kind of the features all in one commit once it gets merged in. There are pros and cons to doing this. The con is Cahl will lose lots of green squares. He'll only get one green square for it rather than, I don't know how many commits there were. Let me see. Let's go to the top and have a look. 20. So you get one green square and you get the pull request. So you kind of get like 2 green squares for this pull request rather than 20. But the positive is we don't kind of pollute our history. So when we do a conventional changelog or generate things like that, it's a bit more concise, which is quite important. So is this title correct? Remind me. I think you've included quite a few things in this pull request.
Yeah, it was. If you go to issues and issue 137, it started with a actually quite small feature request, but yeah, it escalated quickly.
Yes, because what we wanted to do. So the way we're using DataStax as our database. It's a serverless NoSQL database, and you can connect to it over REST. You can over the document API, which end up going over REST, or they've got a REST API, or they've got GraphQL, which I want to do a live stream on and learn more about that. So I'll get someone on. I think I reached out to a few people. I think Shruti might be one of them from PayPal, who will take us through that, and also Cassandra query language, because it is Cassandra underneath DataStax. So it's all open source. Their proxy layer, Stargate, and a database underneath that is Cassandra. And to save the data, you save it into these namespaces, which I think is really good because we can have our data all saved per community. So when we search a collection, like I don't know, user collection, we don't have to filter by the EdiHub community because we'll be going into the namespace of EdiHub. So therefore, we just know that all the data in there belongs to EdiHub. So we needed to make some improvements for that. So therefore, we could save the data in the right collection, because at the time we weren't thinking about having all this data across multiple communities, but I think this would be a huge improvement to do that. Yay, GraphQL. I need to get into GraphQL. Has anyone tried it? Anyone use it? Let us know in the chat.
I never used it either.
Yeah, I think it looks quite interesting, and I just don't know why. I think it's a bit like people either really love it and use it, or people like don't use it, and I kind of want to understand why. So I need to get back into it more. Okay, so you're right. This issue did grow. Did start, as always, things start off small, and this one couldn't be split. But let's merge it. Let's squash and merge. And I want to say that I don't want to say it's a feature yet because it will create a new release and deploy. Oh no, it won't because it's in a branch. I think we're good. Yep. So we can say feature. I'll just put it was 137, and it was I think we'll keep the same name. I think so. Namespace per community. I think something like that. And you can see that GitHub's put all of the commit messages in here as well. So we do have that in the commit description, which I think is great. So let's squash and merge. We've gone into the branch, which is great. So this is not in the default branch. So on my local machine, I'm in main. I did run the tests before to make sure it all works. So what I want to do is I'm just going to do a pull to pull down all the latest branches. And then I'll switch to that new branch as well. So the branch is issue 137. So I can go git checkout issue 137. And then if I go to log, I will see the latest commit that just happened, I think, a few minutes ago. Yes, Friday the 23rd. So perfect. And VS Code will update. Okay, great. So I think we're ready to go. What's the next step, Cahl? What should we do next? Should I run the test? Will some fail?
Hopefully not. You can run it.
Let's run it and have a look.
Hopefully the existing ones should be fixed.
Okay, perfect. So we'll do npm run test e to e. So let's give that a run, and this will be Cucumber running. Oh, npm install. That's one thing I didn't do. Okay. Right, and then run the test again, and hopefully we should be good. While that's running, we have a comment from CNAC. GraphQL, I really like it. Great for modifying a single attribute with a resource rather than updating the entire resource. I use patch for that. Is that what you mean? So if I want to update a field in a resource, I use patch rather than put. So put would be updating the entire resource, and patch would be using a particular field and leave everything else alone? Or have I misunderstood that, Cedric? Let us know. Again, I need to learn a lot more about Graph. I know it's almost like doing joins across REST endpoints is my basic understanding. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Whenever I see Eddie's stream, I think I need to learn much more to reach. I need to learn much more as well. You know, some of the stuff that Cahl's doing, it's like the authentication stuff for me is like wow, that's taking me a while to do it. So we're all always learning, and I think that's why it's great to have these streams and to geek out with each other and all learn together.
For me, sometimes these things like authentication or some other cool features are kind of creativity, I'd say. Because for me, it always helps to get started. If I think back to the PR, which we currently just merged, I started with some drawings on my iPad on which data we need, and then how the data needs to go where, and which service needs which data, and so everything builds up. So I think it's really has to do something with creativity, which you wouldn't expect if you say you're a web developer.
That's true. But one thing I don't like about authentication, I feel that we don't do it often enough.
Oh, we have a failing one.
Okay, one failing is not too bad. But yeah, with authentication, I find we don't do it that often. So I find that I have to remind myself of how to do it. Yes, I have the basic understanding, but there's new libraries, new different ways to do things. Whereas, yes, that's why I don't like dealing with authentication stuff. Delete non-existent standup. So we were expecting a 404 to delete something that doesn't exist rather than getting a 200 back. So we say it's great that we've got a failing one. We can talk through it. So let me bring that one up. Let's have a look. So it is, this is the one. So it's test features, standup features. And we should really go through the file structure and we'll in a moment. So let's have a look. Standup. And standup is line 98. So that's the failing one. So we delete non-existing standup. So this part is just a title. It doesn't have any effect on test itself. So we're going to be given that we've got authorization and that we can write. So there's different scopes, and we'll go into details in this in a bit.
Exactly.
Very soon.
That's a step that we could write or rewrite.
Yeah, we're going to refactor that
exactly.
as well. And we're going to show you all how we do that. And then we're going to make a post to stand up with this data. And we get an ID back. And then we're going to use a different ID. I know why that might have failed, because that ID, it shouldn't exist actually, because we don't use 66. We use a UID, I think.
Exactly.
So that shouldn't exist. And then we expect a 404. So in theory, we actually don't even need to create the data. I think in the test, we could probably remove that because we probably don't need to create the data. So I'm going to omit that, and I'm going to make this a bit more.
If I can add something
yes,
there, when writing tests, I always try to decouple them from each other so they could run independently. So the order in which they run doesn't matter. And if we don't create one before, it's not decoupled from the others. You understand what I mean? That's why I added the post in every test, so we can make sure that every test that runs has at least one object which got created for it. So you get the idea of what I mean?
I agree with you completely, but I think in the delete, is it not an exception because it doesn't need it to exist?
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with you for an update, for a get, everything. I agree with all, definitely. Having them independent is really important, especially if you want to run in parallel. But with this, I was just going to make this a bit more complicated, like to make sure that it doesn't exist, if that makes sense.
What we could do is test it manually first within our Swagger documentation.
Yes, that's true.
And see if the behavior in the Swagger docs is the same as the test tells us.
I like that because that also shows I think that shows everybody how the Swagger works as well, which is really good. So if people want to play with our API, what I did is I created these requests here using a plugin in VS Code. It's a bit like Postman, But we do have Swagger docs, which is really interesting. So let me get that running. So all we have to do is run the app. A good way to check is the documentation, but also another way to check is in package JSON. And you can see these are in the script section. We can see StartDev. So we will run npm run StartDev, and it will bring up the application. And let's bring it up in the browser with Swagger. So we can check it's running. So if hit refresh, we can see it's running. We're running a version 6.11. And then if we want to bring up Swagger, we would do just put Swagger at the end of the URL. Swagger. Oh, yes. Okay, brilliant. And and then we can do stuff like this. So we've got general. I'm guessing this is going to give us the same result as what we just saw. So we can say try it out. And if we execute it, it shows the curl request. You can actually then use this and make changes to it if you want. And it comes back with a response. We got exactly what we saw in the browser. But if we want to go all the way to the module standup, we will have to probably authenticate. Thinking about that, we probably need a delete. We might have two deletes. We probably want a delete that is with authenticated and without authenticated. I don't know. Oh yes, delete standup with wrong credentials. Delete standup with writing scope. Delete non-existing. Okay, so I've got non-existing. We might need an extra one of these where we have non-existing with no authority. So it shouldn't be a 404. It should be permission not denied. So we can check these things. This is great why it's pairing with other people and all of you on the stream. So let's give this one a test. So do I need to authenticate first? Probably do, right?
Yes. Now I can explain it a bit.
Please.
Should we do the file structure first to get into it?
Yes, do that. Because some people said they were scared of the file structure. So let's start off at the high level and we'll
I can
work
take
down.
the live share.
Okay, let me say follow you, I think. Follow you. Okay, and now when you open files, we should jump around, I think.
Exactly. That's the main.ts. That's probably the first file which gets executed, where the actual application is bootstrapped in. Here, for example, app.listen, I think that's a common method for all who know or you ever used Express, for example, because it uses Express underneath the other framework stuff Nest provides. As well as Helmet, for example, it's also a common Express.js package. Here the Swagger documentation gets created. That's, I think, the Nest file structure is actually quite straightforward. We're having some folders for every module we just saw in the Swagger documentation: calendar, Discord, GitHub. Then there's a logger. That's not these are not endpoints which get exposed by our application.
Sorry, where did you go to logger? It didn't follow on VS Code.
Now?
Oh yes, now it did. Yeah.
Yes, logger is it's actually a thing which you can turn off in the env. You can log, for example, every incoming and outgoing request to see if the requests are served the way we want. But it's disabled by default. If I jump to the stand-up folder, for example, we can see how the actual structure is. I think it's quite straightforward. If you ever used Angular, for example, I think it's exactly the file structures Angular uses as well. We are having a module for every module, which provides imports, controllers, providers, and I think you could also add exports. With this file, all the dependencies which get injected if you start running your application are handled. For example, we say there's the stand-up controller, which is handled as a controller. If we jump to the stand-up controller file, now it looks a bit like Spring. This file.
It does look like Spring.
Yeah, and here your actual endpoint is defined. For example, here we have the create standup endpoint, for example, where we can say it's a post endpoint. It uses a guard, the JVT guard and the scopes guard. AP Bira Auth is for the Swagger documentation, that Swagger knows which authentication authentication method needs to be provided for this endpoint. And there's then the scopes decorator, which is actually pretty cool, I think, where you can say which scopes are needed to call the actual endpoint. So we could do some really dynamic stuff with custom scopes for every module, for every endpoint. So it can be quite dynamic in the future. Yeah, and then there's the actual function here, which gets executed if the post, if a post request is served to this endpoint, and then it jumps to the standup service. That's the third file in a folder. Next to module and controller, you have the service where your actual logic is handled. Here in your constructor, that's I think in Nest, typical for Nest, that you can do some dependency injection. I think that's not possible in TypeScript out of the box, but it's really nice to have if you want to do some object orientation. Yeah, and here are all the actual methods which handle how the data is stored to the database or whatever. The create, for example, takes the author, the today's message, the yesterday message from the body, which gets passed in as with typing of standup DTO. I'll come to these later. It's a bit complicated, but if you get familiar with it, it's actually super straightforward.
I think it sounds complicated because it's not all in one file. I think a lot of projects, Express or React and so forth, they appear simpler because they're all in one file. But then later on, as the project grows, they get more. I believe they get more complicated. Whereas with projects like Angular or Nest, they seem more complicated up front because it's all these different files, but each file ends up being a lot smaller. So with the guards, it's like one or two methods that are like a few lines. And with the scopes, it's just like a check. If this exists, then allow it to continue through. If not, throw a permission error. And so I think it seems more scary, but I agree with you, is a lot easier. So a DTO is data transfer object, everyone. It's pretty straightforward. We will show you shortly.
That's the stand-up DTO, for example. It's defined as a class with a lot of decorators from the class transformer and class validator package. So we can check even before the object reaches the controller and then the service if it has the right format, and if not, the request gets rejected. So we don't have to handle any edge cases where some fancy stuff is sent to our API, because it just gets rejected before it even reaches our handlers. Yeah, here, for example, we have the stand-up author. It's an object which consists of two properties, platform and UID, and we just say it isn't allowed to be empty. It's a string, and it's required. If this isn't present, the request will get rejected. That's probably everything we do. Nest heavily relies on these decorators. I think these aren't that complicated. I think it's common object orientation. I think if you ever use Java, for example, or .NET, I think decorators are common use there as well.
Yeah, they're slowly making their way into kind of the Node world. And I think
exactly
like you said, you don't have to write all this code to check is it a string or anything like that. You just put in this decorator and the framework will just deal with it. So I think that's really good. Koalia has a question. I think it's general, which I think is a good question. Should a project have a tree diagram to show the file hierarchy? I think no, because you get it on the side already. However, maybe having an explanation of how a module might work and where it should go and how the naming convention, I think, would add more value than a tree structure, because you get the tree structure out of VS Code or GitHub, etc. So personally, I don't think so for that reason, but there's a way that we can make it more valuable.
Yes, I think that's a little overview on how the file structure looks like. I think if I jump to the GitHub package, the GitHub module, for example, it's actually the same. We're having the module, the controller, the service. Here we have a mapping service as well, and the geocoding service. But these are just service classes which which are provided within the provider function to get so we can use them in our controller and the service here. Yeah, that's actually it. All the modules consist of module, controller, service, and then DTO and interface. So, and then interfaces are just the typings because it's more comfortable if you use TypeScript.
Exactly. We have a question from Cedric. Is there a way to do it in a non-annotation way? Probably, because I think you can do it in JavaScript, but I think that would be kind of going against what's recommended and probably creating more work for yourself. I think I remember it's like, trying to use TypeScript with React. Like you can do it, but it's quite hard. I know now it's a lot better. Or vice versa, trying to use JavaScript with Angular back in the day when it first came out and it was focused on TypeScript. I think I would say stick with the annotations. And Cedric, you're a Java dev. You love annotations.
Yeah, shall I go on?
Yeah, please. Sorry, carry on.
Okay. I think Calendar, Discord, GitHub, and standup are all structured like the same. The top two folders are a bit special. I just closed the Astra. I'll start with the Astra. The Astra service is probably the reason the PR got that big, because we needed some more flexibility than the Astra service, which gets provided by the package I wrote. But yeah, that's the advantage if I'm the package owner. I just pulled out the service and refactored the service for our project.
So what you could probably do, so in your project, you've basically got types. Is that correct? So what you could probably do is turn your project into a type project, maybe, and so therefore we still get to keep the types in your dependency in your project.
Okay.
Just as an idea, like you could probably just rename it, unless you want to keep the service there as well. But if you are not keeping the service there, I would probably rename that to something like type or something like that, and then and you could have it. People could just have it as the types.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Astra service is probably imported or injected in every other module because this service actually handles the connection to the DataStax or the Stargate instance. You can see the JS doc annotations here. That's all from the package I wrote. That's why it's a bit nicer regarding developer experience. And then there's the find one, update, normal find, the create method, and it's observable based. The AstraJS package for the collection interface of the Cassandra service is promise based, but Nest offers the feature with RxJS out of the box. So I think it's quite nice to transform the promises into observables. I think if you're not familiar with observables, you can recast them to promises in case you don't like them. But when having RxJS available, I think going with observables is good practice.
Yeah, it's good practice, and it's more powerful. I have a love-hate relationship with RxJS. Sometimes I love it when it works, and sometimes I hate it when I'm stuck on something for ages.
Exactly. Yes. It's the same for me. I think there are scenarios where RxJS is quite an overkill, but it offers really, really cool features if done correctly.
Yeah, for like kind of live data, it kind of works out the box because you subscribe to an observable, and as new data comes through that, your application can always be listening to it. But then on the same note, you must remember to unsubscribe if there's no more data coming, or if it's like a HTTP request, it will automatically unsubscribe because that's not a connection that's going to be kept open. But otherwise, you can make your application go slower. So there are pros and cons, like to everything.
Yes. Then we have the Astra config service, which just handles the during the initialize of the app. It checks which environment variables are provided to decide whether we connect against DataStax Astra or against the local Stargate instance, because there's a slightly difference on which parameters we need for connecting to the instances. That's completely unspectacular. And then we have the key space service. That's a new feature which actually creates key spaces on the fly, at least for the local Stargate instance. That's a feature which is currently not available within the DataStax service, but yeah, hopefully they'll provide it soon. So we can use this for our online version as well.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so you still have to use namespaces in the cloud version, but you have to do it via the dashboard or their CLI. They haven't got it on the REST endpoints yet, so that's a feature coming soon. So it looks like they put the features first in Stargate in the Docker container for local development, and then after it's, I guess, been used a lot more and they're happy with it, then they eventually move it to Astra, where people are putting real production projects on there. So yeah, that's why we do the check with a slightly different connections, and that's why we can't create the namespace on the fly. Because what we want to do is when EddieBot is deployed to another Discord community, it needs to then create a namespace for that community, so all their data can go into a single namespace. And the great thing about that is if someone wants to delete their data, so they don't want to use the bot anymore and they want the data all gone, you have to go through each collection and try and find the documents that match that community. You literally just delete the namespace, and all their data just goes and doesn't touch anybody else's. So that's why we're going to put like configuration, any data, everything is going to go into that namespace.
Yes, there's nothing to add.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's the Auth module, the Auth folder, and here it gets a bit complicated now because we are using Passport now within our Auth service. It's currently handled here. You can see it's a bit of shame to be ashamed. It's handled in memory currently, which won't work if you run multiple instances within a cluster, for example. That's why this line has to be migrated to the database. There's also the to-do already. And I think we also opened an issue for this.
Yeah, so we will need to move this to the database because we do run 2 APIs on our Kubernetes cluster. I just want to address a question by Koalia. So Koalia, thank you very much for being patient. Yes, animated videos are really helpful. So everyone, I want to share the repo link again. And I think it would be really good if you do have a look. And if there are any questions, ask now, obviously. But also let us know, because I am thinking of doing videos for our API project, like short videos, like Cahl is explaining now. I was thinking maybe in the docs folder, having kind of 30-second, 1-minute videos on explaining kind of the folder structure, where we put things, how to do things, and so forth. So yes, Koalia, you're absolutely right. I think that does make it a lot more useful and can help people getting on board. And we want more people to get involved in the APIs. So anything we can do to make it easier, I think, is a great idea. Yes, animated videos, GIFs, images, all definitely help. I have a question for you, Cahl. I can't answer this one actually. It's by the username's Guy, and they say, does the validation of the DTO happen asynchronously or synchronously? I'm guessing synchronously, and it doesn't move on until the validation is finished. But are you able to share some more information on that?
I don't know it 100% either, but I'd say it's synchronously as well, because I think asynchronously wouldn't make that much sense, because you may pass a wrong DTO to the body, not to the body, to the controller, and then you do some stuff with a wrong object, and this will cause errors probably.
Yes, that's what I would have thought. It would be sync. I would put money on it that it would be sync, because async I think would be you'd move your code would move on, and then it hasn't finished validating, and you don't know if it's passed or failed. So I'm pretty sure it's sync, but we can find out for sure. I can have a look at documentation, but I'm pretty sure or it is. And I love this question here by Cedric, because this is something why I stopped using Firebase for this specific reason. So how's the experience of mocking Astra or the interface very similar to MongoDB? So I have two answers to this, and then I'll let Cahl give some thought as well. So you can do this in two ways. So with the test that we're running now with Cucumber, are running end to end. So we're using Stargate locally, which is the same as Astra. So therefore, apart from the connection details, it's slightly different. Because for Astra, it uses a token, and locally it's using username and password. So ignoring that, everything else is pretty much the same. Again, apart from the creating the key space, because it's a newer feature that hasn't made it to Astra yet. But the majority of it is the same. So we can actually do end-to-end testing on our API, which I think is really good. If we wanted to do some mock things out and catch the HTTP requests, we could, because it uses JSON. But one thing I didn't like about Firebase, well, two things actually, was those two exact things. One, there's no offline local solution. Yes, there's an emulator, but I found so many issues with it. One, you have to install Java. Two, it's an emulator. It's not the actual product like it is in this case. And also, you couldn't mock out the requests to Firebase because they weren't JSON. They were in some proprietary weird format. I did spend a lot of time trying to figure it out if I could try and understand how it works and trick it so I could mock out the request going to Firebase. And unfortunately, it was a no-go. So yeah, local testing, you can do it with a Docker container and use a real Stargate, equivalent of Astra for locally. Or you could mock it out because it is just REST calls, unless you go over GraphQL or Cassandra QL. But again, they'll have their own mocking system as well. What are your thoughts on that, Cahl?
Probably the same. As it's working with JSON or even documents, JSON objects, I think it's not that hard to mock. I have to say I didn't mock Astra so far, because the unit tests we are running are just ones which are actually created when generating modules or controllers. We didn't put that much effort into unit tests yet. And when running our end-to-end tests, we are actually using the local instance. So yeah, I have to say I didn't mock any database yet, or at least Astra not for our API project.
Yeah, I think, unit tests and end-to-end tests is probably a whole other discussion, but they all have their pros and cons. But I do like end-to-end tests because it's kind of what the user or the other app will be doing to the application. There's no, there's kind of less room for mistakes. It's more realistic. It is slower, and you can't test certain exceptions. But I feel it's more realistic on what could happen. Okay, sorry, carry on, and we'll get back to the chat in a minute as well. We do have some coding to do.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's worth to jump into the authentication now, because it's really a bit maybe too complex to understand if I just say about 2 or 3 sentences about it.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be a little documentation on it, or as you said, a small video on how these things work, because we have some custom decorators for this, custom guards which validate our JSON web token. We support, we have 2 authentication methods. I think that's one thing I could mention. We are having a token strategy, which actually validates tokens which are defined in the environment, because we needed this way of security. I think it's not the Champions League of securing your APIs, but I think for our scenario it works, because we didn't want to build a complete Oauth provider with refreshing and authenticating user with identity providers and whatever. So I think that was the easiest way to get the things we need. And then there's the JWT strategy. I can open the file here, which actually just validates a JSON web token, which gets created in our auth service if the user requests a new token. So to sum up.
So I was just going to say, could you add a bit more when you say the user requests a token? Could you just explain how they do that?
The user, in our scenario later, Edibot will probably handle the tokens for us. So there will be a Discord command, create token, for example. And then there's the key space, which will be the actual server ID of the Discord server. And the requested scopes. I think currently we support data read and data.write as scopes. And then with these arguments, the register method, which is here, creates a new signed token. And a new token which is signed by our API, so it can't get reversed engineered. And with this token, you are able to request data or write data within the other modules. I think we can show this in the Swagger documentation. I think the
sounds good.
The idea behind it
sounds good. Okay, so let me share the Swagger. Here we go. Make it a bit bigger. So I've got the authentication, so I can try it out, and we want to request, if we want data read or data write, let's request both. Should we request
data.write, exactly,
and server ID?
Exactly, and server ID needs to be EdiHub, because we created the key space EdiHub on the startup in our npm run StartDev command. The EdiHub key space gets created by default. Exactly, if you hit the lock at the top, exactly, you have to enter one of the API keys. These are in the environment. I think the default ones are ABC.
Yep, so they're separated by a comma. So
exactly, so we can have multiple.
We can have multiples, exactly. So ABC, I don't know why I copied and pasted that. I could just type it. So now we're going to authorize, because if I don't authorize and I send it, response is unauthorized. So no, not every application can request a JWT authentication. There has to be an authorized application. For example, Edibot will be authorized, so we could say it's authorized. And now when we make this request for read and write access, it's going to say now 201, you've got an access token.
Exactly. And yeah, the API returns the client ID, which gets stored in memory, as I showed before, which needs to be transferred to the database. Then the key space we requested the token for, the scopes we requested, and later for some caching mechanisms. I opened already a pull request in Edibot, for example, which uses this new logic where caching is done. There's the expires in. The expires in when the token expires. It's currently 1 year, I think. It's a little, I marked it with a to do. Maybe we should.
We have a question on that. So Cedric says, why 1 year? Just temporarily for now. We do need to fix that. And when people create the token, we're going to give them the option. We'll have a default of maybe, I don't know, a week or something, but then or a month, but then we'll give them the option to specify, because some people might only want it for a day, etc., and so on. So, yes, so that's just a temporary solution for now. And we'll you just mentioned it. Yes, it's what do you call it? The lag, not lag, but the delay in the live stream. And no, be critical. It's the whole point of this live stream is to get feedback from other people, because sometimes when you're 1 or 2 people developing on a project, you kind of get your blinkers on, and it's good to get different perspective. And this is why I haven't started a documentation on this yet. I will do a live stream on documentation. I probably will definitely need Cahl's help, because always got so much good information to get from Cahl on how this is all set up. and we can all document it together. I think, again, that will be great to do that on the live stream, because then people can create documentation, can get green squares. It might be easier than writing automated tests. And then I can make a list of all the videos that I need to create. And I could probably use the documentation to create the video as well for people who don't want to read and so forth. No, good feedback is really important. I missed a question from Guy earlier who said, I wrote code of a body parser in TypeScript, inject all validation inside a promise object and run it with promise all. Yes, so, but it's still a single payload. So you could validate each field independently and then wrap it in a promise all. So it wouldn't move on to any actual code dealing with that body until every single field has been validated. So that would make sense. That could go async within itself, but nothing afterwards. The whole thing would have to be sync. Yes, because each field is independent of each other. You could use promise all. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you could do the same with RxJS as well, but I think here promise all would be a lot simpler. We won't get a chance to look at the code today, but we can have a look at another time. But thanks for letting us know. Okay, so what do we do next, Cahl? So I've got the token.
Yeah, you can copy the access token.
Okay. And then can I go to, was it the stand-up you were showing us?
Yeah, it was stand-up deletion with non-existing.
Shall we do a get first, just to make sure we get one that works?
You can.
So
you need to click the lock, exactly, and then paste your token. That's the BIRA token.
That's the token. Okay, got you. Authorize. Okay, got you. Execute. And looks good. We get 200 and we get no data. Okay.
Yeah, that's how we want it to be.
Should there not have been data for that? Because we've run the test. Should not have data not have gone in? Should that not have something there, do you think? I'm guessing. I don't know.
I'm not sure. To be honest, I didn't think about this. Maybe you can hit the create.
Because if I close this, we go to the stand-up, add a new stand-up. So in theory, there should be something in there, unless it's gone into a different key space.
That's...
Which key space is it by default for the test? You know, I think
I'd say it's AnyHub.
Let's check. Actually, one thing might be quite useful. I think I mentioned it before a while ago in passing, but now I'm seeing the benefit again, is maybe an endpoint for, and this is for people watching if you want to get involved, maybe an endpoint that lists all the key spaces and all the collections and just gives a total. So kind of like a statistics endpoint. And then therefore in Swagger, we could kind of hit, and it might say, hey, you've got a test key space, and in the stand-up collection, it's got 4 documents. So it wouldn't tell you what documents are. We don't really care too much, but just to see that there is some there. Something like that could be quite interesting and quite easy for someone to contribute to as well. But yes, you're right. We can create one. So let's create one. So we can say try it out. We can say Discord. We can say UUID is AAA. Yesterday, what did we do? Yesterday, what did I do? I did some admin. Admin tasks. And then today we are doing a live stream. So if I hit execute, error 500. Oh, let's have a look on the server. What do we get? So this was from before, 401. So that was correct. That was from earlier. And just now we got 401. It failed. Okay. And it's object. So I'm guessing it's
an Astra error. Oh, no, not Astra. It's Stargate. The Astra. This error gets returned from the.
Oh yes, I remember we having a discussion about the object. So it'd be interesting to know why. I think our request looks okay. I don't see anything wrong with that. String.
Yeah, the post stand-up passed the end-to-end tests where we run earlier, so there wasn't a problem with this endpoint. So it's.
Yeah, so this would have got created and it would have got sent to stand-up. And that would have checked for a 201, because if we run this test again and I change that to a 200, it will fail. So Discord, Hubber, it should all be okay. Interesting. Nothing like live debugging Always makes things fun. So, okay, so we've got a couple of issues. We need to make some notes. If anyone wants any green squares, maybe we should raise some issues. So I've sent the link. Oh, we have some things in the chat. Maybe someone's noticed something we missed. Let's have a look. Koalia says, oh, the current questions and answers went over my head. No worries, Koalia. We can go over it again and we can show some examples. We are going a bit fast over things, so don't worry if you've missed some. Like I said, we can cover it again another time as well, or just ask in the chat, or if you want us to dig deeper, ask a specific question and we can have a look. Okay, maybe we go a bit too fast. Maybe I should create a video on it, but I will need Cahl's help, definitely. Ideally, after you've authorized, you should get it within your response access token type expires in perhaps even a refresh my token. Yeah, we try to avoid refresh the token for the moment, keep things simple. But yes, that's something we'll probably have to move to later on. The reason why we've got two authentications is one is for the app token. So we only want certain apps to be allowed to create tokens. We don't want anyone to say, hey, give me right access, and they get right access. They have to be an authorized app. So for example, the Discord bot will have the token to be able to create tokens for people on their behalf and stuff like that. So we came up with kind of a bit of a hybrid model because we couldn't come up with another way that it would work. We didn't want anybody just to create tokens, and we wanted to avoid Oauth as well if possible. Okay. So so we did an issue raised on the API repo to say that the post failed on here on that data. I know we've had this before, and I can't remember what the issue was. Let me log out. Oh, not authorized or nothing. Log out. And it is definitely everything's authorized. It does go to 5 stars. Okay, no matter how long it is. Okay, that said unauthorized that time rather than the 500.
Yeah, I adjusted something in the coding, and that's the problem with the in-memory thing. Now the client ID is gone.
Oh yes, it restarted.
And that's why you have to that's why you have to generate a new token now.
Okay, so let's find that ticket in the code. That's quite painful. That is. So let's prioritize that. I think as a high priority. Do you know the number for that one off the top of your head?
137.
No, for the moving the to do. I think you said there was a new ticket created.
157. Make modules. I think that's the module configurations are stored in the database.
Okay, and was there a ticket for where was it? Was it the authentication service? I think you said. That's the Astra authentication. There was a to do. Yeah, for this one, was there one created for this?
I would have put this within the 157 issue, but we can create a new one.
I think maybe we do that separate to keep things small, and then maybe someone else can create this. So rather than having this in memory, like you said, move it to... I'm guessing it will have to go into its own namespace. I see what you mean by making it part of this. I would say it's probably separate to this. I think this is more for configuring the bot and other things. I would probably have it separate to that one. I'm thinking I'll probably keep it into this in this module rather than the config module. Okay, so if someone can create an issue, say who's going to create the issue. Let us know in the chat. If you could create an issue to say, let me make it a bit. I'll share some stuff in the chat as well. Mandy says short videos are great, especially when short on time. Yeah, I agree. I think for documentation, I'll do like really short 30 second, 1 minute videos for each kind of section. So yes, thanks for the support on that. If you want to help us, let us know. Okay, Koalia is going to create it. So Koalia, can you create this to do? So I'm going to just copy this into the chat. So you get the to do. If you could raise an issue for that, and the file is in the Auth service as well. Or Koalia, you've already got loads of green squares for today. That's the file, and yeah, I think if we move that from memory, then that will make that a lot easier. Okay, so let me go back to doing that. So I need to create another auth thing again. So let me go back. Here we go, auth. So that's fine. Create another auth token. I've got a new token. Because when Cahl made a change to the app, Node restarts the app, right? Rebuilds it, and then you lose anything that's in memory. So that's why in memory is great as a short-term solution, but something we need to move to. So now click on this padlock, log out. And I know Cahl mentioned this to me, but I didn't realize how painful it was until I've just done it now. And I'm thinking, actually, every time you make a code change, you have to go get a new token every time. So yes, I do see how painful it is.
Now it works.
What did you change?
I just commented out one line. I think there's the key space interceptor, which I think you just hit the only endpoint where I used this for testing issues and forgot to take it out. And yeah, I think it's just bad luck that you hit this endpoint first.
Right. Okay. Got you. And what is the interceptor? Is that to check if the key space exists if it doesn't create it?
I think maybe he got something wrong with the key spaces.
Okay.
But I can't tell 100% without digging deeper into it. But I think hopefully this fixes the issue with the...
So my next question is, should this be removed, or is it something that needs to be put everywhere?
That's the question. I think as long as Astra doesn't provide the functionality to create key spaces dynamically, I think I would remove it. Okay. If Astra provides the functionality, I think it can be added to every endpoint.
Okay, got you.
I think I just added it there for testing and just forgot to take it out.
I wonder if we could add it everywhere and then put something in the environment variable to say default to can the key space interceptor have a check? So in here we could say something like, I don't know, auto gen key space, and by default it's false. And in the future, when Astra does have it, because it will work locally, so it's not that we can't test it.
That's probably a thing.
Okay, so that's now working. So we created a document, and what we wanted to do next, I think I've lost my token. Let me go grab it.
No, I think you should have it in the log.
Oh, it keeps it for all of them. Okay, perfect. Yeah. I copied and pasted some paths and code, so I thought I lost it, but you're right. And then if we do a get now, we should have quite a lot of data.
They are the ones which got created by the test. Now everything seems to work. I think the app just mixed up some things, and a restart helped.
Okay, yeah, and here's the one I created, which was Discord user ID UID AAA, and I said live stream today, and yesterday did admin tasks. So that got created, and the rest are from the automated test. Okay, and then now if we go to the delete, so let me delete one and see. So if we delete the one I created, that's that ID. I have to come back for that in a second. So let's do a delete. We'll make sure the delete works. Then we'll do a delete of a non-existent one as well. So we need an ID. So the delete is the one I created, which is this one. Here's the ID. Oh, try it out. Yes, please. ID. Platform, it was Discord, and user ID. Oh, I need to copy and paste that. Why did I type so many A's? There we go. User ID, execute, and 204 it got deleted. So now, if we do another one, but we make a bogus ID, so if I just delete half of it, we'll hopefully get a 404 instead of a 500. Let's have a look, and we get a 500.
Oh, okay.
So this is what happened in the automated testing. So that test failing, which I've now lost off the screen, is correct. This is a valid failure. So we need to fix this. So this is good.
Okay, I probably know the solution already. The test fails with 404. That's probably because he can't resolve the document ID. So I think in the standup service.
In the delete, yeah.
I just forgot I have live share.
Yes.
In the standup service, when delete standup, we can check. Oh, I think we actually do. Here we check if the data is present or not, and in case it's not, it returns 404.
But the other issue is, I have a feeling, if I remember correctly, it might throw an exception itself. So therefore, it's not even coming down into this. It's missing all that, and therefore, I actually think it needs the RxJS catch error, because I have a feeling it is not. It is getting the 500 is getting thrown from Stargate, and we're not, or the AstraJS SDK, and then we're not dealing with it. So I have a feeling down here we need to put catch error. And we probably want to throw our own one then, maybe default all of them. What do you think?
I thought we fixed this issue quite a few times.
I thought we did as well. Maybe we missed one.
Just having a look in the other modules. Yeah, it seems like it's not in this specific scenario.
Okay. Have I missed too many? I haven't got enough brackets, have I? What's wrong with that? You want me to put this? Do I have to do that?
Into brackets, yeah, I think that's the fix. I think the curly bracket is one too early.
Oh, it's too early. Yes, you're right. That is correct. I think that's right now. So it's that one, then curly bracket, and then that one. Oh, it still doesn't like it. Oh. Was not provided for status. Oh, yes. Should I do a bad request or 404 is the question?
When doing bad request, we need to adjust the test. The test expects 404, I think.
Yes, I think 404 might be better. Not found.
Exactly.
So let's save that. We're going to create another.
And now if you run the end-to-end tests again, now you have to generate the token again. I just run the end-to-end tests to see if it works now.
Okay, should I do it manually first? What do you think?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can try it.
So if I run that, get a new token, and then not the post, we want the delete. Here's the delete. Okay, I need to change the padlock to use a new token because the application restarted, and then run this. And 404 not found. It's perfect what we wanted.
Yeah, perfect.
With that bogus ID, and we can do another one. We can add some more letters on the end, run it again. It should be 404 not found. So let's run the tests and just check that.
Now we need to adjust the error message in the test.
Oh yes, that's true.
Not just 404. We need to the deletion failed, and then UID. Exactly this.
Or I might just say deletion failed. We don't know if UID is not found, but we are treating it like it is not found. I think we should probably treat it as it's not found. So, yeah, right, we need to improve the test. Have we closed it? Oh, here we go. We've got it here. Perfect. Let me close that one. Close some.
I think it was in line 98.
Good memory. Very good memory. Okay, so. Okay, and maybe with this ID, I'll make it a bit simpler. 111. There we go. Okay, run the test. Let's see. What does everyone think? Oh, we have Peter in the chat as well. Hey, Peter, how you doing? Everyone say hi to Peter. Peter is from DataStax, so it's good to see Peter joins when we're debugging issues. Peter, you're supposed to join for like the best parts, not the worst parts. But no, it's always good to show the authentic side of things and working on these. So yeah, the API is coming along, which is good. Automated testing, automated deployment, and we think Swagger works locally, but not on Kubernetes. But Cahl, I think, has a fix for this, so looking forward to testing it out soon as well. Okay, awesome. I'll leave that up on the screen. Live debugging like a boss. Cahl's doing all the hard work. I'm just here to look pretty, that's all. I did my hair and everything. No, I didn't do my hair. I need to cut it this weekend. Okay, let's have a look. Automated tests. Don't let us down. So it should have no failures this time. I don't think we changed any other code. I think we just fixed that one. So let's have a look. Everyone, while we're waiting for the test to run, don't forget, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps support the channel. I'll give you a little reminder on the screen as well. And also, don't forget to follow Cahl on GitHub. So while that's running, let me bring up Cahl's GitHub as well. Cahl has 43 followers. Let's see if we can get it to 50. I'll bring the tests running up again. Let me go to the comments. Peter's joining from LinkedIn as well. Thanks, Peter. Cahl's. Oh, we've got one failure. 1 second. Cahl's GitHub.
Oh yeah, now because of the catch error, this has this failing.
So delete the standup with the wrong credentials. Yes. So now we've got the wrong credentials. Let's have a look. So it won't be in that one in the service. Because does the wrong credentials not happen in an interceptor though?
It's thrown in the line 80.
Oh yes, if it doesn't match. Okay, got you. Yes, the guard checks if it exists, but it doesn't check if it's the right match because it doesn't have access to the data. So yes, that makes sense. Okay, so but this one, it should actually, oh yes, because it will throw this exception.
And it gets caught by the, exactly. Maybe we have to put the catch error. I don't know in RxJS, does it matter in which place catch error is?
Yes and no.
Handled?
Yes and no. I've come across this one before, and you can make it matter, but I think by default it doesn't. It's like wrapping it in a try-catch. So I have to remind myself how to make it matter. Because one thing we could do, which makes it a bit complicated, we could check for the exception, and if it is a bad request, we could just rethrow that one and not. This one would be more if it's not one of the exceptions we want, then you throw this one. Otherwise, throw that one. But it makes it a bit longer. But I'm pretty sure you can do it in a way that the order matters. But then I think it might make it easier for now, but make it harder for later, because then it gets really complicated that things have to run in certain order. So I have a feeling we should probably check for the exception and then throw it accordingly. Let's have a look. This is a bit small. Make it bigger for people.
I'm actually a bit surprised why the tests are passing in the GitHub action then. I'd expect it to fail there as well, because when committing or opening, when I open the pull request, it runs, the action runs the end-to-end tests, and everything worked perfectly. So I'm a bit surprised that this test is failing now.
We'll have to check and see.
If you go to the GitHub action, it ran multiple times without.
The GitHub one and the service.
No, but I think when I committed the pull request in the GitHub action, all tests passed.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm not sure why the test in the action passed and locally at your.
It could be because we're using different versions maybe of Stargate, potentially. Maybe a different exception is thrown. We can have a look at that later on. Okay, so let's have a think about this. Oh, wait, are you okay, Cahl? I think I lost you for a moment.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, cool. Just checking you didn't fall off your chair or something.
I'll start my local Stargate instance real quick and check if it works there.
Because we could check for that, I suppose. Cahl left the collaboration session.
Yeah,
heartbroken.
I'm not sure what happens currently.
No worries. I'm heartbroken. I'm
reconnecting.
Don't worry. When you get a moment. Yeah, Koala, that's the disadvantage of live streaming to YouTube and to LinkedIn is that the people can't chat to each other. I can see the chat from both, but yeah, the people in the chat can't see each other, which is bad. So actually, next time I should probably do like 30 minutes on LinkedIn and then tell everyone to come over to YouTube or something like that. Let me do a console log. I want to see what we get. Let's run that as well. Okay. Everyone's still awake? Hopefully learning lots as well. I know I'm learning a lot. I definitely learned that we do have some more documentation to make it easier for people to get on board. I think with the authentication stuff and so forth, you don't have to worry too much about that. If you're adding features, you can kind of treat the authentication as it's there and you don't have to get too involved in it. But if you want to get into improving the authentication side, yes, you need to understand it more. Or if you just want to get a better understanding of the entire project. But I wouldn't try and learn everything at once. So if people do want to get involved in the project, you can add features and just take the same annotations. So if we go to the controller for the standup, for example, then when you add a new kind of endpoint, you can do the ones that make sense. So for a get, okay, you're going to need a bearer auth token. You want the guards as well, and you want probably the scopes. If it's a read or a write, you can kind of make a judgment call on that. And if not, in the pull request, we can discuss it and we can all learn something from it. So that will all be the same. And then when you come to the service, you can write your code as you normally would, and you can just trust that the authentication will be doing what it needs. And remember, everything goes through a pull request. So if you get it wrong, which I do all the time, then someone will help. So don't worry. I don't know why my brightness has just gone crazy on a screenshot. No, thank you. Okay, cool. So I've run that. Has that finished running yet? Let's have a look. Okay, it's still going. And I want to see what that is. Then we can maybe do a check for the error and then throw the appropriate area as well. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look and see. I wonder if we can do finally instead of catch error. Maybe we can do finally. So can we do finally in this? Finally. I thought you could. Where is it? Search RxJS. I think it's slightly different. Call a function when observable is complete or errors. So this might help. So finalize. So execute when the observable completes. But that's not quite what we want. We don't always want it to execute, only if there is an error. Let's have a look. And Mandy has a very good point. Don't learn everything at once. Absolutely. Because if you try and learn everything at once, we'll learn nothing. And I am agree with this so much because I struggle to learn one thing at once, let alone multiple things. But I know some people try and cut corners, try and run before they can walk. I've tried that before as well, and it ends up, coming to kind of bite me in the butt. So yeah, absolutely right. Great advice, Mandy.
I just maybe let me have a quick look. I
No problem.
found something suspicious.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to my GitHub fork
Yeah.
on GitHub, real quick.
Sure.
If you open it in the browser, there seems to be differences between the fork and the
And what we
version we're
merged
currently
in.
editing. Exactly. If you go to the source folder.
You're in issue 137, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we can check commits first. Let's just quickly check commits. So your last commit was 4 days ago, fixing existing E2E tests. And let me check also ours as well. Log. Okay, down one, not that one. Add missing full stop. Oh, interesting. You're right. It doesn't quite match.
What I wanted to show is if you go to my code base,
Yeah,
into
I'm in there.
the source folder and then the standup service.
Yep.
And standup service, and then go to the delete standup function. There's the catch error present. That's why it works.
Ah, okay.
There are differences between what we are currently editing and my code base. That's probably the reason.
That's very interesting. How has that happened?
Because this explains why my tests are passing and the action passed, and
yeah. So
Tom committed two things to the README, which actually shouldn't affect my service class.
But if I go, this is the main branch. Oh, wait a second. I was just in the main branch. I think your 137 might not have those changes. Let's just check. No, I think that's the issue. It went into the wrong branch. So if I go to stand up and stand up service, it won't be there, I bet. It's not there.
Yeah, that's probably.
So you've got changes in your 137 and you've got changes in your main. So if I now switch to main, it will be there. That's why it's there. Okay, so so you need to create a new pull request, maybe with your main branch, but I don't know if that's going to cause conflicts now, because your pull request was from your 137 branch.
Yeah. I could merge. I could fetch the upstream main, merge it into my 137, and then reopen the pull request.
Yeah, there's a few ways it could be done. You could create a new pull request from your updated 137 to our 137. Yeah, do that. Okay, so we might have to remove some of our changes as well. And while you're doing that, I'll catch up.
Hopefully we don't need them then.
Yes, we probably won't need them. So how is everybody doing in the chat? It's Friday. I hope you're all planning an exciting weekend with obviously open source coding.
Do I have to leave the live chef for this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just
come back.
Yeah.
And yes, because we made 7 changes, but I'm guessing a lot of those could go. I might reset it, actually. Let me reset everything. I don't think we made anything.
Yeah, you could just git restore dot, and then you could also merge main from AnyHub into this branch. Then it's probably
yeah, I'll do that. And this, well, if you're merging your main, then I won't need to do that. If your main is up to date.
Yeah, I just fetched the upstream, and now I.
Okay, so if you fetch the upstream, it should be okay. And this interceptor, I'll let you. Is it okay if we lose this change as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just one line.
Okay, so I'm going to remove all my changes. There we go. Yes, as I was saying to everyone watching, it's Friday. What are your plans for the weekend? Hopefully open source coding, hopefully some collaboration with the community. We'll all be hanging out in Discord, and hopefully some relaxation. Remember to get some rest and some sleep, and because that's really important. It helps you be more creative. What am I doing this weekend? I have a list of things to do. I'm going to be planning the 20K celebration. I'll be sharing in the Team Eddie channel, just what we've got so far, some of our notes. I do want to also finish a blog post on the NestJS video that I released last week. And I want to also finish the NestJS blog post and get a video up for that in the next couple of weeks. And do some more work on the API. When we get these two PRs merged, I think then we're going to really start racing ahead. Oh no, Koalia has an exam, not rest. Make sure you get rest as well, though. Don't burn out. You'll do better in your exam if you do get some rest as well. So yeah, do that. And it's always great to see you active in the chat and helping everyone.
So I reopened.
Okay, let's have a look.
Yeah. From my 137 to Eddie Hub.
Okay,
Eddie Hub API 137.
Okay, awesome. Because we squashed. When I merged to my 137, I shouldn't have squashed it. Because now it looks like there's more changes than there are. I should have squashed it only once it went to main. So what I'm thinking, we could ditch our 137 and make a new one.
Yeah.
Because we didn't make any changes anyway to that. So what I'm going to do is that from main, I'm going to create issue 137B. Create that from main. And then I'm going to update your pull request to go into 137B. And then we can actually see all the changes again. And it will make more sense. It will have all the changes because now 137B came from main. So that is correct. But when I merged this, I made the mistake of squashing it. I should only squash it once it goes to the main. Otherwise, the histories diverge and it becomes really complicated. You get weird conflicts.
I just have a quick look if everything, if the files now
look okay.
Standup.service.
Standup.service. Let's have a look.
If now the catch error is correct.
It's correct. It is not there. Oh, that's fine. Wait a second. We want it's on the delete, right?
Yeah, but I'm not understanding why it gets deleted. Line 54.
Yeah, it is removed.
I don't get this.
If we check your code again, 137. Delete. Where is it? Yeah, it is removed in your branch.
Probably because if you go one commit earlier, because I merged main into it. If you go to the
check. Service. Oh no, we should be on. We're not on this file. Stand up service. Here we go. What's this one? Is this the delete?
I'm completely confused now, to be honest.
No worries. It happens to all of us. So search. Where's delete? Delete. No, it's not in that commit. So what we can do is, let's check. It gets added in stand up service. It does get added in 2 commits ago. We got the catch error.
Yeah.
Creation. Oh, that's the creation. Sorry, no. Wait a second. Delete. Yes, it does get added 2 commits ago in this one. on the 28th of June.
Exactly. That's what I would have expected.
And then this one
Deletes it, I think. Doesn't
no,
it?
it's still there apparently. Okay.
But then why is it then deleted in the pull request?
That's an interesting one. Okay, forget history for a moment. Let's go back to 137.
Because I think in main, in the AdiHub original API project, it's in.
I don't get why it's deleted either. Actually, if it's not in the history, because this says this file hasn't changed for 10 days, and if we go to the history of it, we step through back one more time. Debug.
There it gets added. There it gets added, exactly.
But is that in the delete though? Let's just check. That's in the search. In the delete, it's not added. It's not there in the delete in the last commit. So therefore, it must have been taken out. But it wasn't taken out in that commit. If we go back to this one, oops, I scrolled too far. Find.
Maybe something. No, it didn't get squashed. I don't know why it's not in there now.
But it's apparently in that one. Wait a second. That's crazy. But then it says it's in there, whereas it wasn't. Let me just do a refresh. I think I don't know if there's some caching on the page. There's something not right. It does say it's in there in the last commit. When I first look at it, it's not there. When I look at it again, it is there. It doesn't make sense. Let me do the actual browse the repository. I think this is the safest thing. Standup service. And then you've got to delete. And it's not there. Okay. So if I go back to the one before, and then go to file and say standup service, delete, and it is there. Oh no, yes, it is there. It's in the pipe before the filter. So it gets added in this one, and it's removed, not there in this one, but it's not.
But the merge branch main issue, this commit I did a few seconds ago, it definitely was 10 days ago.
I think probably the last commit was 10 days ago. That's probably why. Maybe it's been removed in the previous commit. That's a kind of... Because you just did a normal merge, right? So it'll bring in all the history, which is the correct thing to do. But let me go back one more. I wanted to click here. Browse the repository at this point in history. View at this point in history. Stand up. I guess the worrying thing is, what else did we lose? And it's not there either. So it's not there. I can't explain that one. But in your main branch, is it there?
I think it should. I think that's a change we made a few weeks ago.
It is there, yes.
I think you did this 3 weeks ago or 4.
Oh yes, I did it to your main, which was probably my mistake. I should have done it to your branch. Yes, that was my mistake.
Because we spoke on Discord about the end-to-end testing and error handling, and I think when we spoke about that, you added this. That's why it's in main, because it definitely got merged a few weeks ago already.
So I'm interested why it's getting pulled out.
Is it in the AdiHub community API project in the upstream? Is it available in main?
Let's check.
Yeah, that's available.
It is available. Okay, so let me try and update. Let me think. I'm not sure why it gets taken out and how it gets taken out. So your one.
But the test passed now. That's so strange. There was a green tick.
Let me check. If I go file, and if I say standup.service. And it's definitely not there.
Yeah, the catch error block gets taken out and replaced by whatever.
Yeah, that is taken out, which is really strange. Okay, so let me just try something. If I create a new pull request going into 137B, I want to see if it says there's any differences. Nothing to compare. They're identical. Obviously, they should be because you did it your way. You merged it into your fork.
Exactly.
And bring it back in. So that's what I'm expecting. But interesting that I don't know how that gets deleted. But my concern is what else gets deleted. If I look at it from this point of view, this merge can be added in this branch cleanly. But you can still view the diff. I guess the diff is everything.
That's probably just in the README what Tom adjusted.
Why does that get removed? That's really, really interesting. Huh? How is that? I was not in this commit, right? So I'm going commit at a time. So there was no stand-up service in there. Change order or Swagger. But if we go to files changed actually and go stand-up.service. Oh, went too far. And we come here. This has been removed. So let's find out. We should be able to do a git blame on this and find out when it got removed. So if we go view file and I think we can go blame. So we can see what commit. And I just want to make sure we didn't lose anything else is my biggest concern. Delete. View blame prior to this change. Would it be the filter or would it be the pipe? 25 days ago, 2 months ago. It sounds like such a long time ago.
Yeah, that's not 3 months. That's impossible.
See, delete is there. It says you added it 2 months ago.
That's impossible.
They might be rounding it up. It might be not as long as that. I know sometimes.
But I think it isn't even a month. It's about 1 week.
Oh, it says 14th of May.
That's definitely not true.
Time travel. You invented time travel. Okay, but interesting that it's there. Astra for stand-up mod. Okay, and then when we go back here, it's gone. I want to see in the chat if anyone notices anything that we don't notice. Okay, so what would you prefer to do? So we can fix this, I think, rather than spending time trying to, I suppose, debug it. We could bring it back in quite easily because we've got it in the history. But I am concerned about other stuff that might have got missed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just looked into my commit history in my fork. There it also says 23 days ago, 29. That's completely wrong.
Would you rather, another option is you ditch your branch, you create a patch from it, and you create a new branch and you apply the patch and keep the parts that you want. Whatever you think is the easiest.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
I mean, we could also rebase, so therefore we can
Yeah,
check each commit.
that's what I thought about. Maybe you're doing a rebase.
Then we could say no to this, yes to this, and so forth. Unfortunately, this has happened on a big PR. If it's a small PR, it's not so bad. But unfortunately, it happened on a big PR. So
what I could try is delete my my 137 branch in my fork and repush or recreate the branch with the changes I have locally, and then reopen the PR and we compare if it understands it correctly, if something with the branch and the commit history of the branch is wrong.
yeah, because this merge, you said you did it just a
5 minutes ago.
Yeah. So if you do a git log, what is the date? What do you see in your history? What does the date say?
It's the correct Friday, 23rd July, 1925. That's true.
And the one before that is June the 28th.
It's the July 20th, 8:29. I think my local Git version is correct.
Wait a second. Sorry, wait a second. I'm in issue branch 137. Oh, yes, in your one, which is correct.
Yeah,
I got to remember that I squashed in the Eddie Hub 137.
My local Git commit or Git log is with the correct date.
Okay. And my next question is, if you go to your stand-up service, does it exist for you? The catch. It does.
Yeah.
So I would create a new branch from the one you're in, do it 137C, for lack of a better naming, and push that up, and let's have a look at that.
Okay, I delete my 137 branch because maybe there's something wrong with it. Recreate the branch and then open the PR into 137C.
But won't you, if you delete your branch 137, won't you lose all your work?
I have the changes locally. I just delete them in the GitHub. In GitHub,
okay.
delete the branch, and then git push upstream, set up upstream, whatever.
Yeah, do 137C though, just so there's a new branch, there's no confusion. So you could leave 137. Actually, maybe leave 137 on GitHub, so therefore we can compare it on the screen with everybody else. So I would leave 137 and create 137C, push that up, and we can just have a look. Yeah, something is not right there. There is definitely some missing history. That's why I love doing live streams, because people get to see that there are so many variables, not just in our code, but also in the tools we use like today, I was trying to boot up Docker, and I had an issue with the Docker version and the M1 laptop, and I had to delete the container and recreate it and all the rest. So there are always so many variables in development, and people say, oh, that's easy. It's just one line of code. But there are so many other things to test it, to manually or automate it, whatever it is, deploy it, check it. Hopefully most of these things are automated, but now and then you do get these challenges. And it's what makes it fun and interesting, and why pairing with people is so important.
Did you already create 137C in Eddie Hub?
No, we only have 137B, so that's why I'm suggesting C, because it's completely new.
Okay.
So what I'll do on Eddie Hub is I create 137C from main.
Yeah.
And then you can merge into that. Okay, pull request into that. So issue 137C. Okay, 137C is created.
Create pull request. It gets removed again.
Really? Let's go to your, where's yours? Let's go to your branch and see what your history says. One, 3, 7.
I created 137C as well.
20 minutes ago. Okay,
Yeah,
so
now
that's looking better though.
exactly, but it's still pulled out.
And you've got adding missing full stop. Okay, so again, that's better because we didn't have those. The last one we had, I can't remember what it was now, but it was quite old, 10 days ago, whatever it was, which would have been like 13. I think we had, yeah, we had this one back to here. Okay, this is what we had. So now we've got a lot more commits. Okay, this is good. So if we go to that file, standup.service, and we can hopefully see a bit better. So it's added in there, perfect. Docs, I'm guessing that hasn't been removed there. And if we go standup service, the file hasn't been touched in this one by the looks of it. Scope guards, search for standup service, again, it hasn't been touched in that one. Fix to-dos. Doesn't seem to exist in that one either. Okay. Key space interceptor. Oh, didn't mean to do that one. Oops. Stand up service. Doesn't exist in this one either. I lost where I got to. Let me open all of them actually.
I think in the tests I didn't touch them. I think it's in the first where it might come is. Oh no. I think it won't get touched later. Because the stand-up module was the first I edited to. Yeah, they fixed the unit tests were fixed in this commit.
Yeah, it looks like this is just a spec file. Okay. Not touched in that one. Not touched in that one. We're running out of options. Not touched in that one. I think there's just one left.
And that's just the README.
Stand up service. That is crazy. I need to double check it. I don't believe it. I need to double check it. Stand up service. I want delete. Oops, what is that? Oh, my browser crashed. It's like, don't crash on me. It's been removed. I still don't understand.
But why? In my local stand up.
Check with the same lines. We're looking at the same place. 63, right? I think our numbers are climbing. People are enjoying watching us struggle. And they're seeing how real development can be.
Okay,
sometimes.
now it's gone. I'm not having it here in my local.
It's obviously gone in one commit, and I cannot understand which commit.
But if you go to issue 137 and not 137C, there it should be present. And I didn't touch the files for a week or 3 or 4 days. I think in this branch it should be present.
One thing you could do is, I don't know if it'll allow me to do this on your. Oh, this is mine, not yours.
I could merge issue 137 into 137C.
Yeah, do it, but don't hit merge. But make the pull request and see if it says as a diff. Or you can do it on the command line. You can diff 2 branches. You can do.
It's completely crazy.
But I want to see if there's a difference. 137 looks the same to me. 23rd, 20th, 19th. 137C. 23rd, 20th. I mean, that looks the same. And I can't understand if in the merge I thought it might have got removed, but it doesn't look like it. It's just, like you said, a README. So where did that get removed? Let's go back to that. I'm going to go back to that file and see if I can do one last debug. Standup service. And if I go to delete, okay, it's not there. If we go to blame, let's see what it thinks now.
Yeah, it's gone. But if I merge main into issue 137, shouldn't it be added back again then?
Not if it got removed in a newer commit. If main has it, but the branch has a newer commit that removes it, then it won't get added back in. Git will be smart enough to say, well, you took this out. You obviously didn't want it.
I don't understand it.
I can't see where it got taken out either. I'm really struggling to find out which commit actually did it. Okay. Maybe we just try and fix it. Again, I think either a rebase or a patch is probably the safest way to make sure you don't lose anything. You have so many changes though. Unfortunately, I don't know how helpful I will be to, I mean, you can share your screen and we can rebase and try and figure it out, but only you will know if you want a piece of code or not, really.
Wait. Now it's in my 137, it's present now. I didn't do anything. What the fuck?
Really?
Sorry. Yeah. In my local 137, it's present.
What's the, let's see if we can match it up. You're in 137 local and...
I just hit git pull and it's there.
Okay. So if you do a git log, what do you get?
Last commit merge branch main into issue 137. Because 137C is just a copy of 137. That's correct. I didn't commit anything on 137 yet. I just pushed it. I created it, I checked it out, and then pushed it directly.
Okay.
So that's correct. And the timestamp is correct as well.
Which is?
Maybe I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Maybe this helps. Can you see it?
What? It's just loading now. Koalia says, hey Eddie and Eddie Hub, today is Mentors Day in India, so I want to say happy Mentors Day to everyone. Yes, everyone here is our mentor as well as a mentee, so I love that. Shaping my life every day, and you've all been shaping mine as well. So thank you. Koalia says thank you to everyone, and I say a big thank you to everyone as well. So awesome. Love that, Koalia. Thanks. How it go? Yep, it's loaded. Okay.
There you can see it. I just marked it. It's, if you take a look here in 137C, here it's the HTTP exception.
No, but it's not the catch one. It's different.
Oh.
I made the same mistake, but I didn't say anything when I realized I'd made the mistake because I was thinking it's the filter one is right. Yes, it's the one above that. Yes, there you go, where you got the catch error.
Okay, now maybe that's a bit stupid. But just take this.
We can do that, but my concern is what else has maybe got lost. So which branch is this one in?
That's
As
from my
in
main, and now
main.
I'm 1 through
Okay.
7.
Yeah, so my concern is if you do that though, what else has got missed? But it's probably just that because that's the only one that I did, I think. But I still don't know why it got removed.
Can take a look if the catch error. Here's the catch error. For the search, it's present.
Okay.
It seems like it's just for
that one, the one that we picked on the live stream. The one endpoint that we picked
that's the one that was failing.
Oh yeah, that's true. So we blame the tests. Well, the tests did their job, so it's a good thing.
I can take it. If catch error in the calendar in Discord, they seem to be present where it seems correct for me.
Okay. So
I'd probably try that. I just commit this file to 137 and open PR, and then hopefully it's done because I didn't delete anything or whatever.
okay.
I just added these few lines, and maybe that's the issue.
I'm so trying to understand to get to the bottom of it, but maybe we'll waste too much time and effort. We're meant to be writing tests.
Yeah.
By the way, we've been going for 2 hours, so when you need to stop, do say. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, it's fine. I just don't get why this got removed. But I'd probably just commit this.
Okay.
And everything else should be the same then, hopefully.
Okay. Hopefully we haven't lost anything else of your other hard work that you've done as well. Okay, while you're doing that, I want to switch back to my screen. You can leave yours shared, but it's just not on the live stream at the moment if you want. So therefore, are you doing that to which branch did you do that to? Was that to your fork?
137. I committed it now.
Perfect. Directly to the Eddie Hub community one.
Nope.
If you look at my screen. Okay, did you do it would you have to create a pull request again?
I think the pull request is already opened.
Ah, okay.
It's issue 137.
Okay,
so
yes.
If I search for a service. It's cruel sometimes.
Delete. Is it there? It is pull request 167, right?
I'm not sure. Maybe I took the wrong.
Let me bring it back up your screen and we can have a quick look. This is Cahl's
Nope,
screen.
I think pull request 167 is from issue 137C into Eddie Hub 137C.
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's this. It's 166.
Okay. Let's have a look. Can we bring back up my screen? Okay, the one before, right? Okay.
But maybe I should have done it to 137C because it's the commit history in issue 137 was a bit broken.
Yes, it was because I squashed it. I would do it if you can, like cherry pick that commit or merge it into your 137C in yours and push it up.
Yeah, I'll merge it into that. Can't remember when I merged that much in one day.
Hopefully everyone in the chat is still awake. How are you all doing? This is real
I can imagine
live
it's quite
project.
hard to watch.
Yes, everyone's probably fallen asleep. No, I'm sure they're finding it refreshing that it's not a super, what's the word, polished and say, hey, it works perfect every time. We never have any issues. There's never any internet issues, never any computer issues. There's never any Git issues. There's never any merge issues. There's never any test issues. There's never any coding issues. Everything always works perfect first time. If someone tells you that, they're either trying to sell you something or they're just outright lying. Okay. Cahl, let me know when you're...
Now it's pushed.
Add missing catch. Okay, it's running. I'm sure it will go green. I will do a normal merge. So this will go into 1.3c. Okay, perfect. I'm not going to wait for the CI to run. I'm just going to do a merge because we will squash this later. And so if I bring this locally down, and if I go status, if I switch to, let's just do a git pull, and I'll switch to 137c. Okay. 137, oh, not 47, 137c. And then the last commit, if I do a git log, would have been, where was it? Added missing catch by Cahl. Perfect. So let's run the test again and see. npm run test et.
Fingers crossed.
We don't need.
I never had an issue like this before. Never.
Yeah, this is a strange one. I just still can't understand where it got taken out. I'm not sure how and why it got taken out. Usually you can see that this commit took this out, but we couldn't. I'm sure if we dug deeper, we could solve it. But sometimes when it's something small like that, it's not worth it. Might as well just kind of, fix it. If it is just that was the only one that was missing. But we're going to run the test. Hopefully no other features are missing. While that's running, let's see what issues got created as well. Move config collection to database. So yes, let's give a name. That's not going to quite make sense. So wasn't it the authentication?
It wasn't the auth service. I think the path is the correct one.
Yeah, auth service, and it's going to be moving the.
You're in the Astra service, not in the auth service.
Oh, I thought I closed that. Sorry, close the Astra service. My bad. Auth service. So move to config collection. We actually probably need to rename that. So the issue is correct for what the comment is here, but actually we want to rename this config collection. It should just be tokens, right?
Yeah, but if we make all the other modules configurable, we need a collection where we store the different config objects for all the other modules, and in that, when doing this, I would just add the token inside one of the config objects.
Do you think so? The reason why I'm suggesting we do have its own collection, because I see config collection to be something like configuring AlexJS.
Yeah, exactly.
And so forth. Whereas the tokens, if it's in its own collection, if we wanted to easily delete that, if someone says, look, my tokens have got exposed, just delete all my tokens. We don't want to have to then go through the config collection and figure out what's tokens or update documents. We could just literally ditch an entire collection. So I have a feeling, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, is if we put this to a specific token collection, and therefore we can have different rules on it. And we could also, because it probably should, probably no one or only admin only should have access to that collection as well.
Whereas you're right.
Config, maybe it can be a bit more open.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe own collection would be better.
Move.
Oh. You hit edit next to a new issue.
Perfect. Move tokens from memory to database. And then let me put some quotes on that, and we'll say something like things to do would be rename variable to tokens use tokens collection. I can just put that there as an example. Okay, cool. Right, did that finish running? It finished running and it passed. Woo! No sound effects. So I have to run my own sound effects.
Now back to the actual topic of the stream 2 hours later.
But it happens, and I think that's, not to sound kind of cheesy, but it shows how real it is. We don't have to do too much. We'll be going for 2 hours. We could always have a follow-up live stream. I think this has been quite stressful, unless you really want to continue. But I think we should probably
we could write once. We could just do the StartDev with the scopes.
Okay.
I think that's pretty straightforward.
Okay, we'll do that one, and then
rejoin the live share session.
Okay, perfect. By the way, what was the change you made to main TS? It's showing as edited, but I can't see the change.
In line 12, in the helmet, where helmet gets configured, you can pass an object in.
Okay.
And there's the content security policy property, which can be set to false, and maybe this fixes the Swagger Kubernetes issue.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, one thing we could try is we could delete helmet temporarily and just see if it works. And then if it does, then we can try and configure it more. Or we could do what you said and try, go to the extreme just to check it. And then if it works, then bring it back and open only what we need a little bit. Let me do that change now real quick, and then we can be deploying out while we're trying it. So let me, so that worked because we're happy with that. Let me go to, I want to be very naughty and not do this via a pull request. I'm going to go to main, and I'm going to just make that change. So if I delete helmet, it's going to reduce the security of the application. But It's just going to be a temporary thing just to see if it works. And just to prove that we have an issue with api.edihub.org, it works, as you can see, 611. But if we go to Swagger, it fails. With blank page, no error message, really hard to debug. So let me make this push now. And that should jump to 612. So if I do git commit fix, so it only bumps the last one, temporary removed helmet. And we have a ticket for this, I think, as well, don't we?
Yep.
Do you know the number off the top of your head?
No, not by heart.
No problem. I saw it somewhere. Kubernetes, JS, fix. Swagger, here we go, 126. So I'm going to commit that to main. I want to push it up and git push origin main, and it should deploy in about within 10 minutes. And we'll go fix the test, and then we'll just check that in a bit. If it works, I'll revert it, and then we can try the config and do it properly. So it's just a temporary one. Okay. So next, let's go back to branch. Oh, not check out issue 137B. C. Okay, go back to here. The test all passed. I'll leave that open for a moment. And what we wanted to fix was it should work exactly the same. Actually, we might need to update all the tests thinking about it because we'll need to put these in quotes. So let me explain to everybody a little bit about this. So with these Cucumber tests, this is written in the Gherkin syntax, given, then, when. We don't have a when all the time, but it's kind of given, then. So it's given is like the precondition, given, then, when. So and then you perform an action, and then when is what you expect. Actually, that should be a when, thinking about it. So given we pre-authorized and we post this data, then the response should be. I always get it wrong. Is it given, when, then, or given? Let me have a look.
I think given is the first. I think.
Given is the first, and then what is the then and the when? It's given when I make an action, then I expect it.
Exactly.
So yeah, so given, when, then. So here it's given when. We have no when because there's no action, so it's then. So this is correct, actually, my mistake. But what I wanted to say was everything behind this is called step definition. It's reusable. So if we go to the request, and if we look on request, we have some before stuff that happens. So we delete the key space, then we recreate it. So it makes sure all the data is wiped, which is great. And then we also have, here we go, we have two step definitions, which is read scopes and write scopes. And this is fine. This works. It's great. But we could make it more dynamic by having this part as a variable. So in the future, when we have different scopes, we don't end up having a third, a fourth, a fifth one of these. So let's look at the difference. So that has a server ID and this one doesn't. Is that correct?
Oh, I think this is the server ID in the reading scopes is wrong, I think.
Okay.
I think this needs to be key space. I think we aren't using the reading scopes step dev. I think
okay.
I just added it for being complete.
Okay,
with having
makes sense.
reading and writing. I think the writing is the working one with key space and not server ID.
Okay, so we could try a reading one and see if it fails with a because the key space is incorrect.
Yeah.
So we could add one to standup. Let me see. So we're using the writing scope for this to search non-existent.
Yeah, I added writing everywhere because writing in the step dev contains writing and reading, I think.
Yes, so the writing will have both. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we can do is to search. So we could change this to a reading scope. Let me check it's the same name, reading scopes with an S. And in theory, this should have reading. Is that correct? Let me check the code. I'm guessing that should have it. Stand up. And if we go to the controller, and if we go to search, it has read. Yes. So it should work with the read, but I'm guessing it will fail because this is wrong. So let's just run it and check as well. But we do make a post. That might be the issue.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna run it and see. Let's have a look.
You probably get 4 or 3.
Yeah, probably. So
yeah, these would have been the tests I would have suggested to write here. The 401s, 403s, which can be handled.
Yes, we will need to have those tests, and I think that's great for the community to. Peter's still here. We're still going, Peter. Thanks. Yeah, we're still going strong. Thank you so much for the support.
It was pain, eh?
No, it shows that how real it is, and we'll do some more next week. We'll do some more on these, building on it, and get more people involved, writing the other tests, like you said. If you do a reading scope when you're trying to write, you should then not get a 201, and there should be no ID. So really, someone could copy this, change it to a reading scope, and expect a 403 in return.
Exactly.
So it's great to get people involved.
What we probably need is we need to add a given authorization with reading scopes after we did the post.
Yes.
To regenerate the token with the to get a new token with the scopes adjusted.
Yeah,
but I think that's not a problem.
Another thing we can do is also we can change the scope in the given. So we could say given it's writing up here. Then we make the post, and then we change it back to reading afterwards. It should overwrite it. So I think you can just have another. Oh, is that what you meant? Okay, perfect.
I think that's hopefully not a problem.
Okay, let me undo what I just did. Okay, so I just want to check this fails. So let me save this. But one thing I wanted to do is I did want not to run the whole suite. I'm just going to run stand up. So what we can do in here is in end-to-end tests. We can put, I'm pretty sure it's something like this, tags equals stand up. And in theory, it should just run npm run test e to e. It should just run the stand up one. So we don't have to wait for everything to run. Okay. So this should fail for two reasons. One, it can't do the post. So it should fail for that. Then we'll fix that. And then it should fail because it doesn't have the key space. And then we'll fix that. And then we'll then merge it into one that should still work. So we should still be good. I can start writing it, but I won't save it. So let's have a look. So we could put this back to writing. Must remember not to save it. Then we check that we get an ID back. And then here we go and say and authorize and authorization with reading scopes. It comes back to reading scopes, and then we make a GET request. So
did you have to use then?
Oh,
Because
yes, you're right. Yes, given and then, and yes, you're right. It will
And
be
then-
it'll be an and. No, because the and is extending the then, so that could be an and that could be an and. So wait a second. So given when, that's a then. Oh, let me get this straight in my head. That's a then because that's a result. Then it's a. Did you say when? No, you're
exactly.
right.
That's it,
Sorry.
yeah.
I thought you said then. It's time for me to get a chocolate bar or something. You're right. That's a when. And make the get as an and. Then that's back to then. And then that's back to an and.
Yeah.
I think that works. I haven't saved it yet. I want to. Okay, perfect. So it failed.
The response isn't an ID. That's correct.
That is correct. It's not an ID, but we should check a status code, should we not, as well? I might put a status code check in there as well. Oh, no, I'm not going to put a status code in there because in this case there was no ID because we don't have the writing scopes. So now if I save this, that will pass. We go back to the reading scope.
No, it fails because the token isn't having a key space.
Yes, exactly. So let me run that again, and then we'll get it passing properly. Okay, cool. Okay, now we're cooking on gas. Now we've solved, and it's partly my fault because Cahl did say maybe before the live stream we should get it merged in and we can just work on it. I was like, we'll do it on the live stream. We'll include everyone. We'll show them how easy it is to do these things. And then we spent like 2 hours trying to solve it. So that is probably partly my fault. If we'd done it before the live stream, then we wouldn't have spent so much time on it. But I wanted to show everyone how we do things and how we work on it and so forth. So maybe the positive is that it doesn't always work out as we plan. Okay, so we're expecting a 200 but got a 404. Interesting. So for the search, it didn't find Hubber. Interesting. Interesting. Why did that not work? It didn't fail, so definitely had a read. We got a 200. No, we got a 404.
Oh, I think it's at this point in the test, the key space isn't.
We haven't got key space. It's server ID, which we made wrong. So we're expecting it to fail. So that's correct. 404 is correct because it doesn't exist. So now we've got a key space. Now we expect it to pass. This is test-driven development, everyone, at its finest. No, it failed. I was like, oh no, it failed. But in my mind, we had already updated that, but we hadn't done it yet. So that's correct that it failed. Okay, now it's going to pass. And then we'll merge these two step defs into one. And therefore, we can make it flexible and have different scopes in the future. Okay, right. So far, so good. I think it's the second test. So let's see if this goes good. Oh, we had an error. Okay, that's good. So it just missed the and the response and field today's is equal to today. What did it find? It doesn't say what it got instead in its place. Okay, let's have a look. Let me hide this to get it all in one line. where the field today's message is equal to that. Okay. So that will be in the response rather than the request step definition.
Yep.
So let's bring that up. Let's just have a look, see if we can get more information out to see what it, because obviously got a 200 in the results. It got a 200, so there is a result back, but this didn't match. But we want to ideally list out what it got so it's easier to debug. So it could be like a space or something, or something like that. Or this might be treated as a string where it shouldn't be and stuff like that. So we need to have a look. Where the field is equal to, so let's go to the response, where field is equal to. So this looks like it's the 1. This is a step def. So where do we do the assert? So if it's a type, okay, great. So you will do the check for that on the key. So that should be okay. Should be fine. We expect it to equal. How can we say what we got? I'm going to do a console log, which probably isn't the cleanest, but we'll make something better for the actual test. So for each key, it's doing this. So we can have a look at if we do a console log, and if we put 2 out. So if we put this, the first one, and then we'll put the second one. Actually, I should probably put the console log in the if else. Therefore, it's maybe more relevant. If I put this in here, and then because in here it will be reg x, and then in here it will be the data key. Okay, so let's run that again, and let's have a look. Feels like such a long time I haven't done a really kind of hardcore coding stream, so I'm really enjoying this. It has been stressful, but it's been fun at the same time. This is really, really good. So Cahl, thank you again so much for taking the time to take us through all of this, and for all the amazing work you've done as well. This is great. You've really pushed this project forward so much. I think we're almost there for today, but are you okay for time still, Cahl? If you need to go, do so.
Yes, sir. I'm fine.
Okay, cool. Aha, we've got some things out. How did that pass that time? Let's have a look. So console logs. Today I'll do this. Today I'll do this. Yesterday I did this. Yesterday I did this. And then it was the date to match that regex. I am guessing the first time you run it, the key space ran asynchronously, and it wasn't created, maybe?
Maybe a flaky test.
Let me run it again and see.
The best excuse.
I hate flaky tests, but I am guessing maybe something with the key space. Something must have run asynchronously, I think. And I don't know if we have to run it a few times and see, and then we'll merge these two. So maybe I can start merging these two. So what we'll do to merge these two is we'll make this into a regex. I'm just going to cheat and copy and paste this. And then what we're going to do is put it in there. And then we're going to remove that. And then what we're going to do is that is read and that is write and that is just read. So maybe we could have that. Should we make it as a table? And then therefore we could do it that way, or should we? How else could we do it? What's a nice clean way?
Switch case with a switch, if reading, if.
Oh yes, that's true.
But I think that's not that nice.
I think we'll keep it simple for now. I think the switch case is probably good, and then later on we can convert it to a table or something like that. And that passed. I'm guessing it's something is running async, so I might have to maybe if I can prove it actually. Let me stop Stargate locally, because then that will remove all the data completely. Is that correct, Cahl? I think that's correct.
Yep.
And then I want to run it up again and run that same test. So I'm running it up again, and we're going to run the same test in a moment when it finishes booting up. And I have a feeling it will fail. I haven't saved this file yet, so I'm not going to save these changes just yet. And while that's booting up, because it takes a moment.
I think it works.
Oh, it failed to boot up. Let me remove it. Yes, remove. I'm completely destroying the container and now completely rebuilding it. You think it will work? Okay, what does everyone else think in the chat? Do
I
you
think it works.
It will work, or it will fail. Let's have a look what people think. Huh? I've ruined it now. I can't even test it. Me bringing the Docker down. This is one
it
of the
because
issues.
of your M1 image?
Yes,
Are you having the correct one in your Docker Compose?
It should. Oh yes, I removed it. That's why. I might remove the changes. You're right. So if I go back, I've closed it now. If I get the latest one, Stargate, and let me just share this in the chat. I'll share it later. Let's get this working. You're right. I need to commit this updated one because for the M1 chip, you're absolutely right. So let me remove that. Yes, remove it. And then if I go to Composer, good call. I did fix this before the stream, but then I removed all the changes and I included removing mine. So that wasn't good. Okay, let me boot that up now and that will work. Who's still awake in the chat? Let us know. I'm guessing everyone has fallen asleep. This might have deployed now. Would this say 612? Let's have a look. 612. Okay, let's try Swagger. So no helmet. We're doing multiple things at once. We're like multitasking, which never works well for me. Swagger. And it didn't work. So the helmet thing, unfortunately, didn't fix it. So I need to really put that back. But I can't do that just yet because I don't want to lose these changes. But good idea. Good.
I read something about this. That helmet may cause Swagger not to work.
Okay.
But obviously not.
Oh no! Don't! Oh, I hope I didn't break it. I tried to boot up. Let me close it again and start again. Sorry, everyone. I pressed up and I booted up the Docker container again, and it should have failed correctly, but I didn't want to risk it and have other failures. So I've just stopped it. I'm going to start it again, and then on this one, I want to run the end-to-end test, not just press up. There we go. That's what I want to run when this boots up now. Okay. I have a feeling this will fail. We will see. And Cahl thinks it will pass. So let's have a look. First time to boot this up, to build it takes a moment. But remember, you're running Cassandra here and the proxy layer on top with GraphQL, Cassandra QL, REST API. So it's got quite a lot of stuff going on. Okay, it's done. Okay, ready? Run tests. In the chat, everyone, let us know if you think it's going to pass or you think it's going to fail. I'm for fail. Cahl is for pass. Let us know what you think. I don't know if I want it to fail or want it to pass. I think I want it to. I don't like intermittent tests. Okay, Cahl wins. It's right. It passed. So maybe it was just an intermittent test, which I hate those sort of tests. Okay, so let's remove these then. So what we need to do is, okay, so we've got authorize with, and let's have a look. So what we need to do is it's the scopes that we want to change. So I can just do here, I suppose, like you said, a switch. So we could say switch on.
You need to put an argument. Yeah,
that's exactly true. So this is going to be scope singular. And then if the scope is, oh, thank you, Copilot, data read, then let's do.
I think it's reading scopes.
Oh yes, you're right. This is actually going to be what we want it to be. So scopes will be, let me do scopes. No, not that one. Scopes is an array. Oh, let scopes be an array, and then scopes we can just push onto it, I suppose. What it said, data.read. Not that one, single quote.
Do you use array.push or do you destructure it when adding a new element?
It depends what I'm doing. I use push for something like this, but I would use destructuring if there was something already inside, if I was adding to probably, I don't know, an existing one maybe. What about you?
I normally always destructure.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's a philosophy question.
I don't
Both
know.
works.
I don't know if performance is better or actually that should be up there. Oh, writing. I can leave it as writing. That would be push right. Yeah, push right. That needs 2, doesn't it? Though. So, is that enough?
I think it's
or
fine.
Is that okay?
It's fine. Yes. But then we need to make
though.
that's for the current tests. If we do it like we did with the standup feature to add 2 authorization steps, where we get a new token, we can do it like this without read and write in the writing scopes. But I think to get all tests working for now, you should add the data.read in the writing scopes as well. Okay.
So how should we do that? A second push? That looks dirty now. If I did this I don't like. Oh, Pedro, if I pronounce it right, is still awake. Awesome. Where are you from in the world? Let us know. That's a very cool name. I want Copilot.
I could do that.
Copilot is good. Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. Awesome. This is Cahl's way. Let's have a look. But do you need to destructor scopes because it won't have anything in it? Actually,
I always do it like this.
But it's empty though, right?
No.
Could you not just do that?
So,
and then same
I'm not
sure.
I think destructuring a empty. I can give this a type.
Oh, it's a string. Well done. Yeah, I don't think you need to destructure it because there's nothing in it before.
Yeah, that's true.
But normally, yes, you're right. If it was okay, so then in here in scopes, we would just put scopes, or we could even omit it like that. It would still work.
Now the tests should be fine.
And so in theory, also I can delete this one as well.
Yep.
And then now we're down to 1, which is the same key space. But the scope is dynamic. So if it's writing, it will use those 2. If it's reading, that should be double quotes to be consistent. No, single quotes. We use single quotes, don't we? There we go. And if it's reading, it will be that one. Okay, perfect. So let's give that a run and let's give that a try. Okay, run test. Oh no, that's going to fail because we now need to put these in quotes.
True.
They need to be because they're actually passing in. Actually, we don't even need to have, we could change the name, I suppose. We could change this to be writing, something like that, scope. Or permission. What's better, scope or permission? Permission, maybe?
Yeah, it's preference. I think it doesn't matter.
I think just to avoid
scopes or permission or whatever.
I think just to avoid what's the word? Any confusion, like with languages and so forth. Because scope, I think, could mean different things. In the code, we call it scopes, though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should be consistent. Hopefully I didn't miss any. And that one hasn't, without authorizations, that hasn't got any, so that's correct. Okay, save. Right. This time, let's end the stream on a high. Let's have greens all round, and we have what have I broken? Okay.
Yeah, that's because they weren't in the quotes, the writing and reading, and
They're
I think
not
that's
updated.
correct. I think when you run the test, when you run the command, they weren't updated.
Oh, and I didn't update it here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Permission. Whew.
And now you need to adjust this the case, because now we aren't writing scopes. It's just writing and reading.
Thank you. This is why pair programming is so important. I would have got another failure again.
So now it should be fine, hopefully.
Okay. 21st time lucky. Let's do it. Come on. Piro's from Bosnia. Hi from Portugal to Bosnia, and we've got Cahl in Germany. Awesome to have you here. And we've got Mohammed says, try opening a different browser. I have tried different browsers, but let me try again. Good point. Let me try. So Swagger didn't work in, and you get nothing in the console logs. Like it's.
I think there's something.
Oh, there is something. Error cert authority invalid. That's
because it's not having SSL.
Okay, and if I open it in Safari, oh, it works. I don't know if this is because we removed Helmet or not. Mohammed, you might be a genius. Okay, we're going to check this in a minute. We're going to add Helmet back and see if it doesn't work in Safari. Chrome, you've let us down. I don't know. Did the test pass? The test passed, so we're good. Okay, so are you happy for me to commit this to?
Sure.
I won't do the Docker Compose. I'll do that as a separate one. I won't commit the package JSON because that's just for the stand-up. Oh no, everything else is going to fail though because we need to update everything else. Okay, I will fix that before I commit it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a git stash for a moment. I'm going to head back to the main branch and I'm going to fix this Helmet thing that we did. Put Helmet back in and commit that back to main. And let's Helmet is back. I'm going to put it as a fix. So I'm going to commit that and I'm going to push it back up to main. Let's get it deployed. Oh, rejected. Oh, yes, of course, because the changelog would have been created. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it still works in Safari. But Mohammed, I just thought Safari would be more logged down. So if we go remove Swagger from the URL, just to show what version we're running now, we should be running 0.12. And then in about 5-10 minutes, it should be running 0.13. I make that a bit bigger for you all. And then we'll see if Swagger still works in Safari. I'm refreshing it. You can see it's 0.12, so it does match.
Will it work if you test the endpoint?
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, well, this wasn't even loading before, but let's try it. So this obviously was general works, I'm guessing, because we've seen that work.
Yeah, in this version, you don't need a token. You just you should be just able to hit the Discord endpoint, for example, without authentication.
Oh, I do need authentication, don't I? Oh, I think for reading. No, you're right. For reading, it was okay.
Because that's correct.
Is that correct for reading? Oh, it's post.
You're in the post.
Sorry. It's been a long stream. Right.
It looks perfect.
Yes. Okay. This is why I use Safari, because it works every time. No, actually, I just use Safari because it has all my history and all my passwords and stuff, but I use Chrome for development. Chrome. Okay, so refresh this. Still on 13. We can actually, if we want to be really keen and excited, we could open the actions page and see how it's looking. Actions. Okay, it's publishing the Docker image. Let's click on it and have a look. Oh no, it goes off the screen. Oh, that's too small. So, okay, so it's going to do the test, and it's going to publish Docker image, and then it's going to deploy to the Q cluster. Okay, cool. Right, while that's running, let me head back to our branch, issue 137C, and let's pop those changes out of the stash. Okay, brilliant. We're back to where we were. And then I'll need to go through and update all those tests, which I can do. That's cool. So let's see if Helmet is part of the problem. There's still something obviously wrong with Chrome, but let's see. And then I think it's probably a good place to stop. Do you think so, Cahl? After we do this last test? Okay,
yes,
good.
it was intense. More intense than I actually thought.
But if you think about it, it's like kind of the worst thing that could happen. So next time, if hopefully there'll be a next time when I haven't scared you off, but next time will be a lot easier.
Hopefully.
Okay, Mohammed is dropping some more gems. Let's clear the cache on Chrome and see.
What you can do is hit Shift and the reload button.
Shift and reload. Oh, we go back to Swagger.
The reload button next to the URL bar.
Okay.
And then hold it.
What? Yeah. What? It was cache all along. What? So it might be the Helmet issue then, because I'm sure I tried stuff.
Probably the thing I read was correct.
Oh my word, we're on fire today. Well, Cahl and Mohammed are. So, Cahl, if it was that Helmet thing, good find, because I really couldn't find anything on it, and I was a bit like disheartened that I couldn't find anything on it. So, okay, so Chrome is working, so we're not mad at Chrome anymore, so that's good. Let's just let it get deployed. I wonder how long the others took. Let's have a look. 3 minutes ago, and the last one took 33 minutes ago. It took 5 minutes. Okay, so this will be going for 3 minutes. So 2 more minutes, and hopefully it'll be deployed, version 13. And well, this will change to 13, and this should hopefully work. At least we solved 2 issues today then. We solved the Git issue. We hopefully solving the API issue. I know there's an extra PR we'll have to do if the API, if Swagger breaks now, because I put Helmet back in, at least we know it's the config for Helmet, like you said. So there will still be a PR for that. I don't know if you want to raise it while we're waiting. Should I put your screen up? Are you happy to just raise the pull request for that?
I think if someone from the audience wants to do that, I'm fine with it.
That's true.
I got my green squares today. So.
That's true. Okay, let's bring up the issue for Swagger. Do you want to let them know
it's super easy.
Is? Did you want to, can you add to the issue 126 what they need to do?
Yep.
And then, yes, you're right. Let's get someone in the audience. Mohammed, do you need a green square for today? I don't know if you want to raise this pull request. Cahl will update the issue with the location of the file and the config in Helmet, and we can give that a test and see. Okay. Well,
I'll wait until the deployment is done.
Almost done. Come on. So we want this to break now, basically, don't we?
Yeah, because then we know what's wrong.
Yes, and it proves that this Helmet without the config fails, and we need hopefully there's some config. Hopefully this is it that causes it to work.
Oh, it's done.
It's done. Okay, who's ready? Moment of truth. Refresh. Yes, and then we just do Safari as an extra check. Refresh. Yes. Okay, so we're going to solve this issue today. Epic. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. Good team effort, everyone. Loving this. Okay. Cahl will do that, and I will then have to also make these changes as well. So Cahl, let me know when you're done with that, and while you're doing that, I'll go through and make all these changes to the tests as well. I think you've put writing permission on everything, so I'm just going to do the same for now, and then we can break it down later on to be not as I guess powerful. But let's just get it to a working state for now with what we've got. Okay. Probably could just do a search and replace for everything in the code base. Rather than changing every... Oh, that did not work. What happened there? You know what? Let me do a search and replace. Why am I doing it one by one? That's probably the last one in the file. Okay, that looks good. Okay, save that. Oh, not that one. Let's change this. And then when you're done, Cahl, I will bring up the issue on the screen so people
I
can see.
already updated it.
Oh, perfect. So to let everyone know what's happening, here we go. So in main.ts, we're using that. It needs to be replaced with content security policy false.
That's the thing that was in the issue I found. I think we just when we tested, we just removed helmet completely. But I hope that the content security policy is the thing that matters when delivering Swagger.
Mohammed's saying if we install a certificate, it will work. That is on our to-do list, so I do need to do that. But for the meantime, and saying it's because the assets are on HTTPS rather than HTTP. All right, okay, it makes sense. So hopefully, if this config, I want to share the issue number if anyone wants to create a pull request for that. This is a short-term solution, but yes, we do need to move to a certificate for that. Okay, let me just finish making these changes. Almost done. And then we can, and hello world should be fine. Okay, let me run the test.
Probably in the package JSON, you need to update the end-to-end test command.
Yes. Very good. Your memory is so much better than mine. I forgot I put tags at the end. Okay. And then this is, oh yeah, you were editing that in.
Yeah,
okay.
I can. It was just for the IntelliSense when copying it.
Oh, I see. Okay, got you. Let's run all the tests and make sure everything works. And then it's a good place to end. Oh, no. Oof, that was close. E to E. Okay, there we go. Let's do this. Glad to see people are still awake. I haven't fallen asleep too much yet. Give the video a thumbs up. It really helps support the channel. And let's hope these pass. And then it would have almost been a 3-hour live stream. Wow. Time goes fast when you're having fun. And I love it when the community helps. I really appreciate it, everybody. Okay, I haven't timed the test before, so I don't know how long they take to run. That's going pretty fast now.
Looks good.
Sometimes I find it goes slow, sometimes I find it goes fast.
Yeah, sometimes it gets stuck a bit.
Another thing I'd like to do is, again, this is probably for not high priorities, low priorities. You know how we've got hard-coded certain usernames and Discord usernames? I'd love to use Faker, which generates content.
Yeah.
And I think that would just be so cool because then there's the length of things will change and all the rest. It's kind of like a beta test, as it were. So I don't know if we have an issue for that. Faker. No, data. Let's have a look. Oh, there's a second page. Okay, how's it going? Yes, it all passed. Yes. Okay, so I will commit those to that branch. I won't commit the Docker Composer to that in a separate PR. So I will commit everything in the test folders. I think that looks correct. And we will say is it a feature? Is it a fix? Probably, well, it doesn't matter, it's all going to get squashed anyway. Fix, read, write, scopes. And we'll say it's for 137. It's all going to get squashed anyway. So, Cahl, any more work that you do, if you can do it not in your fork, but in this
Yep.
pull request?
I had probably switched to that. Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. That didn't come up before. So, are there just warnings? Is defined but never used and defined but never used? Okay.
Yeah, I can take a look at this.
Okay, I'll push this up then. I was going to quickly fix that now. Oh, spelled my name wrong. My password is password123. Just joking, it's not. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Oh, I brought up Nightbot. I'm going to bring up Nick. Yeah, really long stream. We had like 2 hours of challenges.
Unintentional.
And then 50 minutes of actual work. So we appreciate everybody who's been staying around and supporting. So let's just clarify a bit what's left on this issue actually. So let me just actually put this here as well. So this is going to be DX probably. It's going to be an improvement. It's 3 points maybe. I think it's pretty critical. Ready for dev. Okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, the issue that you're working on is 137, which is about here. Okay. Okay, maybe remove the question. Definitely work kind of being done on it. Code. I don't know about DX. It's I think an addition, and it's quite a lot of points. I mean, we should probably point this as a community, but I'm just going to give it 8 at the moment and make it pretty critical. So do you have a task list of what's remaining on this one?
I think just adding the tests, the remaining tests. I think
Okay.
the functionality which is needed is already there, and the config, the token module, token key space is a separate issue.
Yes. The one for it has an issue, I think, doesn't it?
It's quite at the top, I think.
Did I go past it?
It's 157.
I went past it again. Oh, there we go. Make modules configurable.
That's the general thing for Alex.js and these things, and the token thing is the one Cavallo opened.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think did you start on this one on 157 as well? Do you have a pull request for it?
Oh, I think yes. But I think it's better to not use this because I tried out something with inheritance, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I did it. I don't know if I updated anything there. I need to check.
You're right. It was with inheritance, and we were looking at potential other. Not this one. Where is it? I don't think you raised a pull request. You just wrote. I think I hit in a branch.
I think it's in my. It's on a. Oh yes. I think it's in a branch, but in the main repository, it's in 157, issue 157.
Okay.
But I currently don't remember. Yeah, that's with base service. That's something with inheritance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's with abstract. Yeah, it's probably better to ditch this.
No, but it's good that you were trying out and so forth. Spikes are so important. But we can pair on this on another live stream as well if you want, or sometimes it's a bit stressful doing these sorts of things on a live stream as well. So yeah, because I think once let's go back to the issues again. So once we have Nick saying it's no fun if it works first time. True. Because once we have the token or tokens in memory, again, it's just because people can't create tokens, but it's fine. It'll just be me, but still make it easier. So that can go to memory. And then once we've got the modules config, that is not a blocker, I don't think. It's this one that we're working on at the moment. This one, the 137, is the only blocker. And then we can start collecting data. So I can do a live stream next week and getting data from the GitHub Actions and start collecting data and so forth.
Yeah, and I think the PR for Edibot, which implements the create token endpoint, I opened this already. Maybe there need to be some small adjustments on this because it's with caching and I implement some fancy stuff.
Oh, you changed the.
Yeah, because if for testing this, I need to run the API on 3000, and then the bot needs to be on a different port.
Yes. Probably change that to 3001 or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so for the testing, we'll skip that for the moment. So on the token cache, remind me why we can talk about this later on maybe, but why did you cache it again? I think you explained it to me, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, I can explain it to you when we find time.
Yeah, okay, no problem. But yeah, no, this looks really good. Yeah, really good. Okay, cool. Right. That has been pushed, that has done. I think we're good, and hopefully someone will fix this, so this will work.
Yeah. At least we got a bit smarter with the Swagger docs.
Yes, no, and this is good as well. So this is now green. It should have my commit in there as well. No. Oh, 137. Oh, that's the right one. C, that was the one, wasn't it? Oh no, that's not the one. Did we not raise a pull request for it? Maybe we didn't.
Yeah, maybe it's directly in 137C.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing.
Okay, create pull request, and we can say.
Yeah, I think I have permissions to commit to the main repo. I should stop working in the fork to avoid these problems we were having today.
Yeah, just working a branch in the main repo is fine. Exactly. I think that's not an issue. We have enough challenges as well. Don't create more work for yourself. Basically, I think namespaces for data. We can rename that better later. And then the last commit should be mine, and it should be green. Okay, perfect. Awesome. It's still running. Okay, great. Wow. Okay, Cahl, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm going to share Cahl's GitHub again. Do give Cahl a follow, and definitely Cahl GitHub on GitHub. See what the awesome work Cahl is doing on GitHub with our projects and other projects. So many awesome things. So Cahl, you're a machine. You've done so many great work on API, and it's going to get even more exciting now as well as we start collecting data from the community.
The fun part starts now.
Because again, a bit of a spoiler for the people, not spoiler, behind the scenes for people who are still around. I really appreciate you all being here. For the 20K live stream celebration, I am thinking to maybe use the data from our API to do the giveaways. So that's why I'm quite keen to start collecting data from our Discord bot and from our GitHub action. So therefore, maybe we can pick people at random to do the giveaways. But the more collaborative you've been in the community, the more increases your chances. So it's like if you make a contribution to the community, it's like buying a lottery ticket. But if you make 10 contributions, it's like buying 10 lottery tickets. So you kind of increase your chances of winning something. So that's what I'm thinking. So yes, that's why I'm quite keen to start collecting data soon. Therefore, it could be quite interesting. So let's see. And Cedric's still here. Cedric, thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. Okay, Cahl, have a great weekend. It's been 3 hours now. Do go get some rest. I think it's 9 o'clock your time. It's 8 o'clock my time. It's time for dinner. And I'll chat to you over the weekend, I'm sure, as well.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Bye. I'll bring up the timer.
See you all.
And then we can go. Bye.